Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Heroes World Quarantine Podcast. You can see we have a lot of people today, so huzzah. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you for support. Thank you for listening, liking, subscribing. It really goes a long way, so please continue doing that. It means a lot. And of course, today I'm your host, Stu Pei, and I'm here with the proprietors and owners of Heroes World store in Markham, Ontario, Jon and Andre. Please say hello.
Hey guys.
Hello.
Of course, the Prince of Trickery, trickster himself, Mr. Rob Gaudette. Can you say hello?
Say hello.
My microphone wasn't on. Look at that. Tricked you guys already. 10 seconds in.
Good start. It's a good start. One of our regular contributors, Tim.
Hello.
And we have three special guest stars today to join us on our Thanksgiving extravaganza. First, we'll go with Lewis. Say hello.
Hi.
Fraser.
How's it going?
And our friend from the South, Scott.
Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Hey, thank you everyone for joining us today. We are celebrating Canadian Thanksgiving. So for those of you listening around the world, not from Canada, we have Thanksgiving now. So if you're listening to this, it happened on the Monday. So it's a difference in terms of American Thanksgiving. And so here we are. So, and guess who's showing up right now? Full house. So
Restart.
yeah, restart. Do you want to restart? We can
Welcome.
restart. It'd be great.
Keep going. It might take her a second.
We're not. This is like the episode of Lower Decks. She's just gonna move slowly into her department, press some buttons, and carry on.
And that's
Lower
the end of
deck.
the episode. Thanks everybody for coming. Sorry, Joey.
Oh boy. Okay. So jumping back, so we're doing a Thanksgiving extravaganza. So we invited some people to come on, past contributors, new friends, people to give thanks, because 2020 has been one heck of a year. Not exactly the heck of the year that you would want in life, but it's been one very memorable year. So we're gonna do something that we haven't done in a while and do some recommendations. So what's going to happen is that everyone, I'm going to ask everyone one by one to give a recommendation for 2020, something they're thankful for, something that they've read or watched or saw that really brought them up, made them happy, kind of got them a little bit distracted, and we're going to go from there. So we scared away Joey, so we'll carry on. But let's start off with always with the bang. Let's start off with Rob. So let's give some thanks here, Rob. So why don't you start us off? Depending on how this goes afterwards, I'll give another second for Joey to log
So
in.
I only have one pick.
We'll
For
see
now,
what
buddy.
I know you have two children. You can't pick your favorite, but seriously.
Oh no, I could.
You could pick your favorite. You could pick your favorite. Hey, hi, Joey. Thanks for
Hi.
joining.
Outside?
Let's
I
do
am
this.
outside.
Whoa.
I'm still sleeping in the inside.
Oh.
So yeah, thanks. We'll you'll know what to do and you'll join in at the end. But so again, we're gonna give thanks, and then depending on that, we're gonna do a special segment. Rob pitches Fat Man, and then if there's time after that, we'll talk about Umbrella Academy season 2. So that's what we're doing for Joey and for people at home. So Rob, please talk to us about the one thing that made your life better, that you'd like to share to the nation, share to the world, put some positive energy in the universe. What do you recommend people watch, read, consume at this time of days of days?
So first of all, I would actually, the first thing I would give thanks for on this podcast would be to Andre and Jon and Stu for having me on. This has been a crazy ride. I mean, this has been like transformative, and it spun out into our the Sidekick show with Joey and Jon and myself. So big thanks to the guys at Heroes World. And for all the listeners, and that has been amazing. So if I need a recommendation for the year, it would be to definitely go back and check out the earlier episodes where I was much nicer and took a lot of Andre's shit. And
that's chop busty.
and you'll see over the last 25 episodes, things have changed. But yeah,
You
big
got
thanks to
comfortable.
you guys for having me on. If I'm gonna pick, I have a whole list of stuff.
Of course, you have a list. That's what I'm
This
saying.
guy.
One, damn it, one.
So I'm gonna start off with a TV show that I watched in 2020, and that would be Succession. And if people haven't seen Succession, I highly recommend it. It's on HBO in the US, Crave in Canada. I just won a few Emmys a couple weeks back, but definitely there's only the 2 seasons that are out. I started watching it in the summertime and loved it. So if I'm giving recommendation to big thanks, it's to Succession, because man, that shit was good.
I was on since day one because I love Brian Cox. He's tremendous. But why don't you tell the people home succinctly what the heck Succession's about and the dope soundtrack that happens on the theme song?
Well,
At
so
least
essentially,
give
it's
us
a
your
power-
pitch. This is a warm up to your Fat Man pitch.
Right. So it's a power struggle of a well. You know what? If anybody ever seen the movie Greedy from the 90s with Michael J. Fox, like it is a more of a dramatic version and strung out of Greedy. So it's about a wealthy family that are conglomerates, almost like the Murdochs in a sense, and they're all trying to essentially ascend to the throne, so to speak, to take over. And I will say though, for people who have never seen it, if you're watching the first couple episodes, you might chuckle and be like, what is this about? About the 4th or 5th episode of that first season, you then understand what their intention is, intermixing comedy and drama, and it's just phenomenal. And so it is about the relationships between the kids and the father, and power and money and seduction, and it's just a phenomenal show. So definitely give it a go.
What's the time period? It sounds medieval.
It's now.
Is it now?
How does it sound
Medieval.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I said it was a media conglomerate.
I don't know.
How many media conglomerates took place in the Dark Ages, John?
I don't know. I wasn't
barely had
there.
Muppet shows.
To be fair,
I wasn't there.
Right?
there's a lot of media conglomerates throughout
exactly.
history, Rob.
I think the
being-
term media, you guys might be confused on.
Well, it could have been about the Hearst Empire. So we don't know whether, the media empire back then that built Hearst Castle and owned half the world at one point. So, just to be fair, this is
Look at you coming to John's
stuff.
rescue. John should be thankful Stu's coming to his rescue. That's
Yes.
what John's thankful for.
And also, Rob, wouldn't you say that it's kind of like Star Trek Lower Decks? You have to build to it and then you grow to love it like anything else?
Nope, because Star Trek Lower Decks is a pile of poop.
Different standards.
Yeah. no.
Anyways, yes. Shout out to my
Succession.
girl Shiv. So great show. Carry on. Fraser, it is. What can I say besides barf behind you? But please,
Classic.
Not here.
thank
It's
you
a
for joining
Mercedes.
us. But share with us the
Corinthian leather.
thing of joy that it brought to you in the year of our Lord 2020.
The one thing I'd like to say I'm thankful for that just recently came out was The Boys. I've really been enjoying it. Season 2 just launched. Basically, it's like a really twisted spin on, I guess you would say, the Justice League. There's the main character, Butcher. He doesn't like them. I don't want
To say the least.
Yeah.
Good.
I don't want to go into too
Good
much
tease. Good tease.
spoilery
Yeah.
reasons, but like season 1, you had your main character Huey, whose girlfriend literally is blown up by one of the 7 in the road, and it kind of starts this spiral down the road of all these characters, and it's quite the ride. Very gory, but I've been enjoying it.
So would you, and this is a quick question to you, those who enjoy the media portion of The Boys season 2, it's diverged from the comic books themselves. Were you someone that also read the comic books, or were you someone that just gone on this without reading the comics?
No, I went into it blind. I didn't know about the trade paperbacks.
Yep.
So I just went into it blind, and I enjoyed it. It's something that I will most likely pick up just to see what the differences are.
As someone who's read the trades, it's very different.
Way
it's
over
very
the
different.
top.
But I not to steal anyone's point, where it's a nice direction that Eric Kripke has done. Andre and myself, who love him from his 5 years on Supernatural, you could see that he has a through point, and he's kind of cherry picked kind of the best stuff from the comic books. It's kind of two-edged sword. When we watch media and they cherry pick the best stuff and put it in movies like they did in the Hulk, and you're upset, sometimes that's not great. But in this example of pulling it out from a TV show, it really does a good job of kind of balancing, because there's a lot more characters and a lot more, even with Love Sausage, there's a lot more stuff that happens and you're like, what is going on? And shout out to him. But yeah, he is more of a larger character in the comic book than he is in the very memorable cameo that happened in season 2. So that's all I'm going to say about that. So there's something to look forward to. So there we go. Scott, thanks for joining us. What do you have to recommend for us at this standpoint? What are you thankful for?
If I could fanboy for just a second,
Yes.
I'm really thankful for this podcast. It's been awesome to watch for COVID, and really has I sort of skate the surface of these things, and to watch you guys go into deep dives on all this stuff is really kind of cool, because I could watch a Michael Bay whatever and watch the explosions, and I could be sometimes okay with that, and to see Andre tear it into pieces, because it doesn't hit canon, it's kind of it's fun to watch.
It's enlightening.
Yeah. So thank you for this. And again, thanks for letting me play with you guys, because I love watching, and it's fun to meet all the people, sort of face to face. But to get on point, one of the recommendations and one of the shows you guys had was the Old Guard, and I really enjoyed it. I know, again, it's something where I watched it and I enjoyed it enough where I'm going to go try to track down some of the source material and some of the canon just to see how it differs. And again, I think that goes into some of your guys' discussion too. But, just on face value is not knowing anything about it, and, watching you guys, it was a fun little ride, fun couple hours to watch. And, but I think it also made me think of going back and trying to take a deeper dive onto it too.
It's a good thing that a place where you can get those source materials. So we'll have to we'll put it in the donkey mail, because mail all over the world is super slow right now. But we'll get you some. Some.
So Scott, quick question. Outside of us talking about it, if there was no Charlize Theron in this movie, would you have watched it at all, or would it have just totally skated by your level of interest?
Honestly, it's weird because life gets in the way, right? And so it's real easy to get wrapped up in work and family and stuff, and not that those things aren't important, because it is my anniversary today, so a shout out to my wife.
We're gonna talk about that, don't worry. We're gonna give you a shout out.
So I guess I'm thankful for that too.
Yeah.
Good one.
But I probably would have skated by if it wasn't like Charlize Theron and the big banner when I pop on Netflix.
Yeah.
Just not knowing anything about it, but you guys kind of tied me into it, so then it piqued my interest.
Okay. Yeah. This is the, as Andre, you guys don't know this, but on the other thread that the four of us have on this podcast, we consistently talk about Ryan Reynolds and how he is one of these guys, like the Netflix darlings, where you see him on that banner and people are like, I'll just click on this. So he's the male version of Charlize Theron.
That said, I didn't click on what
Underground?
What was he in? Was it Six Underground?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's Underground, yeah.
Yes.
Scott, what an anniversary gift.
Yes.
I mean, what
Ryan
a day
Reynolds
you're
is a
going to
national
have.
treasure.
Six Underground. If you like explosions in Michael Bay, this is where we're at, baby.
Yeah.
This is
Oh,
If you
man.
if you make your wife watch that the only explosions happening tonight will be in that movie, and that's it. So I would refrain from watching that on your anniversary.
See, the other half of my life is reality TV though, with the wife. So like Bachelor, Bachelorette, like I could do. We want to do a deep dive on that. I could probably smoke all you guys.
We're gonna wait. We're gonna wait, Scott, because a new season is coming. Where there's a lot of COVID stuff happening with this. I'm interested to see what happens. But yeah, we'll now that I know, we can definitely talk Bachelor because
Just when the
The
subscribers
first ever
were going
rose
up.
turned down recently.
yeah.
Sorry.
This is a deep cut for that. So this is the most difficult question for Scott. I'm putting him on point. Jump off. Bachelor or Bachelorette, which is clearly there's a correct answer. Which is the better show?
Man, This is like picking my favorite kid.
And again, we talked about this. We all have an answer for that, but carry on.
Yeah. In case my kids watch this, I'm not going to say that out loud.
Just blink twice to let us know that that is true or false.
I kind of got to go. Probably just straight up Bachelor. I like the drama a little bit better when you got 25 women in a house.
Yeah,
it stirs the pot more. Although when the guys go crazy, it is good. But I'd go OG Bachelor.
Yeah, it's the original.
Correct. Yeah. That plus feeding them lots of white wine equals excitement and fun. So that is the combination of bench. Okay, Garrett, because Bachelor in Paradise is a whole other ball game. You can't include that because that's
whole other podcast,
whole other thing. So yeah, that's that. All right. As Tim has been waiting very, very quietly in the corner. Tim, go for it. You've talked to us a lot about podcast stuff, so I'm interested to see what you want to recommend because we know you love a lot of things.
So I'm always okay. So first off, I do want to give a shout out to Heroes World, of course, like the podcast, but the store in general, right? Like I've been going there for 19 years. I'm very thankful that store is around. It was in an area that had nothing like that, so it was such a needed thing for the Markham area. And thanks to you guys for running that store and for keeping it going. And post quarantine, you guys are back. And I do hope that everyone has listened to this podcast and knows like brick and mortar is the way to go. Get into that store, purchase stuff. Right? I always pick up random weird stuff from there. Yesterday I got my Street Fighter muscle toys, like anything. But they're always so cool stuff, man. So thanks to that.
And also special thanks to your new wife. Thanks for
allowing me to continue
of everyone. So thank you. I appreciate you immensely for doing a civil service by marrying this man and just helping us.
Deserves an award. Yeah.
I would say some sort of Victorian cross is on the table, but we'll carry on.
The Purple Heart, there's something.
Purple. That's American. You can't.
All countries are gonna donate.
Yeah, she'll become a member of the British Order. Things are gonna come by. But yes, shout out to your new wife. So thanks for letting us have him on today. So thank you.
Yeah. So for what I'm thankful for, like I'm always a guy that reads things. I like reading things that are that I don't have to read 1,000 different series, right? Like I like reading things that are one shot. So that's why I've always been a fan of my Batman Beyond, right? If you don't have this one on Batman Beyond, the Justice Lords Beyond, if you've never read this, incredible. Go pick that up from Heroes World. But other things like that are single season or like single universe, so like Umbrella Academy, okay, for sure, those things. But the one thing I'm going to recommend this year that came out 2020 that I was a huge fan of, and I think maybe not too many people have read, is The Shattered Grid from Power Rangers. If you haven't been reading, and I know John for the last few podcasts has been talking about Boom Studios and what they've been doing with their other things, but he never mentions Power Rangers. Shame on you, John.
I do here and there.
Power Rangers, they took them over in, I think, 2016, 2018. The stuff that they've been doing, incredible. The art, amazing. And this storyline, and the only reason I even found out about this was there was this big movie trailer. And I don't know if you guys remember, there was a big movie trailer with Tommy, Jason David Frank, that I thought was like a legit show, but it was a movie trailer for the Shattered Grid comic. And that's what brought me in. And I was like, what the hell is going on? And then I watched and started reading. Man, that is some good stuff. They also did the Power Rangers Justice League crossover, which actually was pretty good. And then recently, and I know, John, you said it did very well in the store, but there was the Power Rangers Ninja Turtles crossover. And that was damn good too. So I do want to say I'm thankful for that. It's a nice, it's a nice diversion from the stuff that we normally read and the universes that we're so ingrained in. And these ones where you only have to really read like 1 or 2 comics a month to kind of stay within that whole universe. I do like that. So that's my recommendation.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Lewis, I enjoy your background, so kudos to you. Lower Deck shout out. Yes, go for it. What do you think for? What do you recommend?
Well, thanks for you guys for having me, and I miss you guys. Haven't been in the store for a long damn time now. But for content, I actually like Lower Decks. You guys can go suck it.
Rob,
you fit in perfectly already. You fit in perfectly already. This is you just landed. You just landed perfectly.
Just having Star Trek on the air, like we're having Discovery, Picard, Lower Decks. Like this year, we had a lot of Star Trek. Like
You've named one good show. Continue.
Discovery.
Yeah, Lower Decks. Carry on. You learned one good show.
Lower Decks. I could go on to other shows, but Lower Decks, just because it's fun. I don't have to take it too damn seriously. It exaggerates things, and it's a good romp.
So you already know my follow-up question. Talk to us about the concept. What is Lower Decks for people that have no idea what it is? Because I'm sure there are lots of people. There's too much stuff right now, so not everyone knows. So tell us what Lower Decks is.
Basically, it's the ensigns of a no-name ship in the fleet. Basically, it's not the flagship. It's just some random ship that nobody cares about. It's the guys that do second contact, not first contact. It's the ship that with this crew that follows up on what the others have done. Basically, it's an office of, I guess you could call it, of Star Trek in a way.
Yes. Oh my god.
that's a good comparison. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's great. So, interesting to say you talk about all those Star Trek shows. Do you truly believe that Lower Decks is better than Picard and Discovery, or is that like where I just need to know?
Or you just trying to kick some shit?
I just want to know, where do they rank? I know you're recommending it because it's fun and what, but truly in your heart of hearts, of the 3 Star Trek shows that came out in 2020, and the fellow Trekkie right with you, can you rank the 3? Like, where are they in your mind's eye?
Picard was a lot of nostalgia, so I'd have to rank it at 2.
Oh my god.
I can't rank Discovery.
Don't make me mute you, Tim. All right, let him go. Let him go.
I can't rank Discovery at 1 because we haven't seen it yet. Like season 3, we haven't seen, so I can't rank it.
Okay.
So I'm actually ranking Lower Decks above Picard.
Okay.
Lower Decks number 1.
Picard number 1. Picard number 1.
What a piece of crap.
Nostalgia. I mean, the whole thing's nostalgia.
Hey! You let him. That's why we have chocolate and we have vanilla ice cream. Everyone's allowed their own choice. And I, for one,
You just picked strawberry.
that there was, and that's why there's strawberry, chocolate, and banana, and that's why there's lots of
Is it out? I gotta buy that.
Yeah.
The virtual background's kind of nullifying it.
Oh, there you go.
And that's why there's a Super Kid. Shout out to my friends at Laura Secord. This is
when it's not sold out.
So this is a thing. Everyone gets their own choice. Everyone gets their. It's a light romp. So this is what it's all about. We live in a weird world right now. I don't know if you want the heaviness of Picard right now. It's a lot of.
That's pretty much why, because it's such a dark year. I do like Picard, but maybe just because it's this year. Maybe next year I'll think different. Maybe I'll re-rank it after.
Well, there's season 2. Don't worry, they can fix some problems just like they did in all shows. Okay, in Succession.
You know that there is an issue when the guy who just recommended 19 Power Ranger comics is like upset about the Picard pick. Like, 2020 is full of shit when that happens. So
I'm recommending something that I think people haven't probably read, and it's solid. That's all I'm saying.
To be fair, there's not that many Trekkies anymore compared to, like our watch. And how do you get CBS access? Like, this is you have to crave, like, this is not an easy thing to get. It's this is a weird niche market now. It's, even the Disney Plus stuff coming out, it's going to be on Disney Plus and Disney Plus alone. So we're just cutting this fandom square into smaller squares and then putting it behind a paywall. So this is where we're at now. So. Okay, Joey, it is up to you. Thanks. What are you thankful for, and what do you recommend for the folks?
If I'm gonna, I feel like I have to salvage a few people now. No. One, and I feel like I'm in one of those like award shows where I have to like hold something up and just be like, I'd like to thank Heroes World for.
You got to fumble for the piece of paper. You're like, I wrote this down. Thank my agent. Thank my representation.
I wasn't prepared for this. I'd like to thank my wife, my husband, my brother, my sister, my other brother's sister. I couldn't thank you guys enough. You guys were the start of Comics Inc. You guys were like my maybe 6th episode, and I really just didn't have a voice in the community, and I was reaching out to like different people before, whether you're a comic book store or you were like a local artist or anything like that. And I remember the first time I spoke to Jon, you know, like literally it was a phone conversation that just started into a friendship, you know. If we had Asian Avenue back in the day, that's exactly what I would have done. I would have typed to Jon, be like, hey, this is Asian Dragon Girl 985. I heard you're gonna own a store with this other dude.
With Kai playing in the background.
Yeah. I also play StarCraft. Please accept me. You know, all that kind of stuff. But really and gratefully, I'm so thankful that I'm part of the Heroes World family. And you know, just honestly, just being part of you guys is really a big thing that I'm thankful for, apart from all the other things that I've been doing. So I've called you guys home, my home in the East kind of thing. So I'm very, very thankful about that. So that being said, is there anybody that plays background music? Because that sounded like really fairy-like to me. I think
if only we had some yacht rock for you, Joey.
And God, it really, someone play Summer Breeze right now, please edit it.
Edit that in the post, Jon.
Yes.
Okay. Or one of y'all can sing it.
No, thankful for Heroes World. Thankful for you guys like having me there. I'm also very thankful of my opportunity with Heroes Manufactured as well. So hosting Comics Vault has been a whole different ball game. It's a whole new step up of learning how to produce and write shows. So I guess it's kind of my slow jam shout out to popping my own collar and being like, guys, go watch my show. So it's over at YouTube. We have an Amazon Prime special, and I've been shouting it out, and I'm very proud of my team there as well. And yeah, of course, Chapter House. Chapter House, we've been coming out with like so many different things, and I'm proud of all the creativity that's going through there. And there's something also new apart from all these things that I'm working on that I'll let you guys know about after. So that's what I'm thankful for, is, you know, kind of nerding out with my big bros in the comic book world. And the thing, I think Stu was saying, the thing that I was excited about this year.
The thing you recommend this year, because everyone's picking something that they would recommend in these darkest of timelines. What made you happy? What was the show, the book, the
our
movie?
darkest hour?
In our darkest hour. Sorry, I'm seeing the only people that I'm seeing right now is Lewis and John and Tim. And every time I see John, I'm always like, Tong Lee, Tong Lee, Tong Lee. But Tim, I'm gonna ride on your coattails for this one, because I really, really like the Boom Studios crossover, and I just love it. It's like, it's so uncommitted reading. Like, you can just pick up your 5 issues and you can wait until all the 5 issues are done and you're done with it. But I really like TMNT versus Power Rangers. So go pick that up. That's probably going to be a trade very, very soon. I also, I'm pretty sure we're at second or third issue of Transformers versus My Little Pony. Just stuff that Rob loves. You know, I just wanted to shout that out there.
Is that good?
I think that's IDW. Yeah.
You like that, Joey?
W.
It's good.
Yeah. Well, it's only because I like the newer My Little Pony than the older My Little Pony, because I wasn't really around for it. And
for
also,
those, please, on this chat, do not fight the My Little Pony people. We love My Little Pony.
No,
we
let's not.
respect My Little Pony.
You should flip through an issue. It looks crazy.
Do not.
I don't.
No, Rob. No.
I don't.
No, don't do
Come
this.
at me, bronies.
The views of Rob Gadet do not follow the views of the Heroes World podcast.
New Halloween call to arms.
We
bronies.
Scott and I will take you bronies on.
Don't drag Scott into this. Don't drag Scott into this.
Dragged into this?
Scott's like, I wasn't even talking.
No.
Like the Transformers part.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like the crossovers. I also really, really love Deceased. Guys, it's just the most DC thing DC has done in so long, and it's just compiling everything that was classically DC, but throwing a modern thing to it, and then throwing zombies into it. I love it. And my girl got to become one of my favorite people. So like the Black Canary, spoiler alert, but she becomes a Lantern. So come on, man, like there's so many good things about it. So pick up Deceased. I think it's at Dead Planet now. But it's going to look amazing in trade, and hopefully you guys get a chance to pick that up. So there's a lot of great comics, I think, in my books. A lot of great comics, because I like non-committal comics where I don't have to dig through like a painful kind of like, oh, and then this happened.
40
and then
years.
All you non-committal people, this is I don't understand. You got to make a commitment, and you ride or die with them. So this is the same thing happens with all the Toronto Maple Leaf fans. You just ride or die, regardless of what happens.
No.
You off the cliff.
I have to do non-committal because to me it's kind of like I need a little bit of fun, but I can't get into like a story that it's gonna eat up my whole day because there's other things that I need to do. So so that's my reading kind of recommendations.
Well, you only need one. You don't have to go to all of it. You got it. You're good. I don't want it like this. You're moving into Rob Cadet territory. You're gonna give us 30 things.
Hey man.
That's it. All right. That's it. We're good. One is all we wanted. So that's perfect. Because I want to give more time for us to talk about Umbrella Academy. So
but guys, I do have to go. I was just stopping in. So enjoy the podcast.
Yes. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye, Joey.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for dropping by. All right.
I vote Joey out. Oh, she's gone. All right.
Oh no.
Big Brother. Sorry, it's in my head. I can't help it.
Yikes. And a shout out to Arun out there working at Boom.
Boom's killing it.
Yeah.
They're even the WWE comics they did, like everything they kind of have taken under their wing, the Buffy, everything they care about it. Like you can clearly see that they care about producing a good product that is potentially new for those fans.
Yep. So good shout outs to him out there. So John, I'm gonna let you share with us what you're thankful for and what the your recommendation is.
So something specifically, it's going to be kind of in general that the fact that the X-Men are back. So the whole House of X and Powers of 10, the collections dropped this year. I didn't get the chance to read it till this year. But now that I feel it, I guess they've just kind of turned on the X-Men faucet now. So now we got that. We've got 10 of Swords coming out. The action figures are coming out like crazy. They're doing a brand new Sentinel. They're doing characters from all over, X-Force, X-Factor, like everything. And then there's a new board game coming out, the cooperative board game. And then they're hitting the miniature market now as well, all in time for Christmas. So just the fact that the X-Men have been kind of reactivated makes me very happy this year. I don't know what's going to happen with the movies and stuff because everything's being delayed and pushed back. So I don't think that's going to happen this year, but I'm happy that the X-Men are basically back.
Okay. And that's you're not thankful for anything else. You just wanted to talk about X-Men, but
I want to thank everyone else for coming on here and hanging out with us every week. It's pretty awesome. It's great to see Scott in here, Lewis, Frazier, and then having guys like Tim and Rob come on, give up so much of their time, and you, Stu, like you hold it down for us. Scott mentioned it before we got rolling. Everyone really just talks about how you are able to piece this into something that is very, very good and keep it all together and very entertaining. So and just being able to see all you guys or talk to you guys each week is just amazing.
Thank you. That was good. That was a unnecessary shout out to me, but thank you.
Yes, no, very necessary, Stu. Very necessary.
Unnecessary,
yeah.
but thank you. I will finish off now with Andre. Always playing the anchor.
Got a
role.
10-minute monologue prepared.
Yes,
right.
this is get ready for this, people. This is what I call the Christopher Nolan soliloquy moment, where he needs to look into the mirror in a moment, look back in, and talk about something, and just go in, and then just another layer upon layer upon layer.
Oh,
so let's see what Andre has to say.
Now you've hyped it up too much. So I guess definitely the first shout out, as everybody says, has to be to the Heroes World podcast. We've done it before in the past, but never as steady as we've done this. And again, a lot of that has to do with Stu every week saying, "Hey guys, what are we going to talk about?" And then doing the format and then making sure that we're up and ready to do it. Shout out to Rob, giving up his Sunday morning, and Rob's got a dog, probably a cat, a couple of goldfish, 2 kids, and a wife. So thank you for that. And then also, to our guests, Tim's come on a lot. And when we were able to reach out to guys like Lewis and Frazier and my pal Scott here, all the guys who've given their time, to help us maintain a presence in the ether that's the internet, so that people, if they can't come to the store, they still get a little bit of that store vibe and that store feeling, and they can connect with us. It's really awesome today for me to have my pal Scott here, so I want to say a special thank you to Scott, and I'm thankful for a friendship that we've had since grade school, and we've been able to reconnect over Facebook and keep in touch over these years.
We need a whole podcast of Scott telling us stories. I think that's next.
Well, I have them. I have them.
It's Tearful After Dark. That's what's gonna happen.
It's like 85 to 88, Andre.
Yeah.
Is that Barbados, Andre? Is that where we're at right now? Because
not yet. That's a different time.
Is that Barbados Slim, Andre? Like, that's what I want to know. Is that you know?
But no, I got in all seriousness, Scott's been, a huge supporter, and it's really cool because, when we ask people to talk about what we do or share it, Scott's always talking, commenting, sharing our stuff. And Scott's in Chicago, so it means a lot, because I'm sure he's got people going, why are you always sharing this place in Toronto? And Scott's like, I want to be there. So thank you, Scott. And it's a lot of support. And I want to thank, there's too many people to thank that have allowed us to be where we are today. And that's, we've survived or are surviving this pandemic. Another shout out to a very good customer, just a fellow named Jesse. And since the pandemic, he's a frontline worker, but on his time off and stuff, he's a big comic reader. He's come to the store, and that's where I am a lot. John's holding the fort at home, and I'm at the store a lot. And I'll tell you, the store's it's a different vibe. And it's lonely there. Like, people aren't coming in as much as you think. And we used to have a hub of, there's people all the time. And I got to say thank you to Jesse for not only coming in and keeping me company, and we can talk and stuff, but also has been helping out like a lot. Like, our back issue room is a disaster, and he's given up his time, to help us get up and running. But there's not only, Jesse, like I know John's got Pat helping him out, and a couple of our pals, Mark Sacramento and Mark Young. So I'm thankful for our community,
Abby. Thanks,
our
Abby.
family of people that are helping us out in our darkest hour. Like, quite literally, like, we've never faced anything like this. And we're not out of the woods yet. Just like, Toronto and places are almost reverting back. It's going to be tough on a lot of businesses. It's still tough, but I'm thankful that we are able to be at this end and stuff. I'm thankful that I still have a place to work that I love. So that's the first, big shout outs and thank yous. The other thing I think that's kept me sane during this, it's not something that's new, but I really encourage all of you to watch it before The Mandalorian season 2 comes back. I'm really thankful for Dave Filoni and crew and Star Wars Rebels. If you follow me on Facebook or wherever, I just posted up a couple of videos about Filoni and the behind the scenes, or not behind the scenes, but his little short documentary, one on the Force and one on the Rebels crew. And it's the Star Wars that we all deserved, and it's just so good. It makes me, no matter how I'm feeling at the end of the day or whatever end of the week, I can pop on some Rebels and just sit back and just enjoy it. I get emotional, I get caught up in it. So much so that I definitely want more, but it was only 4 seasons and a couple of the seasons are short. So sink your teeth into it. You'll enjoy it. We're probably going to talk about it in the next couple of weeks, because Mandalorian 2 is coming out, and I'm going to rewatch Mandalorian 1 so that I can talk about it fairly with you guys, and we can maybe talk about what we want to see in number 2. But I encourage Rob, if you haven't done it already, and John's got to probably finish Rebels. I know Stu's watch it all, and then I legit want to do some deep dive comparisons between the two shows. I know one's animated and one's live action, but if you're digging Mandalorian, I gotta say you're gonna love Rebels. And if you like Star Wars and have not watched it, it's phenomenal. Like I know I'm a super Star Wars geek, so it brings me to tears, but it's just a well-written show, well voice acted, great plots, and no wasted moments. You may watch an episode about 2 droids and think it's got nothing to do with anything, and then they'll bring it back and you'll be like, oh my god, that's perfect, it fits. So that's what's kept me sane for this pandemic.
Yeah, and the reason
Andre,
why, sorry,
I just want to chip in. That is an awesome pick, man. I didn't know anybody liked Rebels except for me. I love that show, man.
Yeah.
That is that I think that's the best Star Wars ever.
Yep.
Chopper is
Whoa,
like the
hang
best
on.
droid.
You're knocking out droids and Ewoks? What are you? Come on.
But Andre, that's an awesome pick, man. And I agree with you 100%. If you have not watched Rebels, that is a total treat. Like a very good
I think
show.
Rob is only thinking about the theme songs for other droids and Ewoks, which yes is incomparable. You cannot beat those bangers. They are earworms that get into your brain and never let go. Yeah. Oh, there. Ewoks or droids. I have a soft spot for droids. I like the synth, like 80s, like talk about yacht rock, like that song. Is something I remember from a childhood watching it on Global. I think it was on Global back.
It was on
day.
Global back in the day.
Yeah, I think so.
They only made 8 episodes and they replayed them every 8 weeks. For 2 years.
Did not. It was great. It did not matter. It was that theme song is a special theme song that just drives it and drives you home. So that was a good one. But the reason I think also Andre brings it up is if I, again, just to remind people, there's a lot of synergy between Rebels and with Mandalorian, one being that Dave is working on both, and he was instrumental, just like Ronald D. Moore, in kind of repatterning the universe, like Ronald D. Moore did for Star Trek, and Filoni's now doing with Star Wars. And there's synergy between the characters, special characters that are coming into season 2 that we don't want to ruin, that are coming into season of the Mandalorian that are happening. So it is a good recommendation, Andre. It's not imperative that you do, but if you want to know the Easter eggs and whatnot, it's great, and understand people's desires and why they're doing things, especially even at the end of Mandalorian when a particular Moff Gideon is holding a particular weapon. There is a lot of context to it and gravitas, and if you watch Rebels, you'll understand more.
I think honestly, as people that are gearing up for for Mandalorian, you've already got Disney Plus. Even if you just Google the episodes with I'm going to say it's called the Darksaber. Google the episodes with the Darksaber. At least watch those, because it's going to make you understand what that weapon is and its importance to that time period and to the main character. But also, again, it's going to show you that there is a whole other world of depth, and I think it's grounding the Mandalorian in something that is super specific to Star Wars. A lot of my first criticisms of the Mandalorian show is I felt that it wasn't Star Wars enough, and I think that maybe that's why some people like it, because like, oh, I don't need to know anything. But trust me, when you watch these episodes with Rebels, and there's, like Stu said, there's a couple characters that are going to drop in this show, and if they're only in for one episode, it will really be a disservice to those characters. But just watch Rebels. It's fantastic. Like honestly, I can't say enough about that show, period.
Hey, Stu, I just, as a PSA, if people are going to follow Andre's recommendation, definitely type in Star Wars before you Google Darksaber. Otherwise, a whole bunch of different results, and you don't want that with your kids around. So,
in Rob's history bar.
My cookies are just full.
Talk about what we should get a sponsor of, some sort of Norton or VPN cover, because clearly we need that based on Rob's search history. So Nord or Norton or private VPN, reach out to us as a sponsorship deal. We'll happily do this for you.
I'm sure you can run a VPN through a Chicago network.
Yeah. Bounce it here.
So if they don't want to track your personal information, we'll take it. But I think to Andre's point, if you've been watching the podcast, have been talking about Rebels for I think since the inception of the podcast, even back in the beginning. So it's been something a long time coming. And I think that, to Andre's point, you can't compare the two, because even with the news of this new Star Trek show with Kate Mulgrew and Janeway being on it, and based on COVID, animation is the way to go because it's cheap. You don't need people to be together, and you can record voices. And shout out to the DC, cinematic universe and the animated zone, is because they got some of the best voice actors ever to be their voices of DC characters, and it is similar to the MCU when it comes to the talent. So if Marvel and everyone else decides to do this with Star Wars, it just gets big name actors just to do voices on cartoons, I'm all in. So and that goes for Rebels too, because Jason Isaacs is in season 1 and he's incredible. I guess he did it maybe before his tenure on Star Trek. So anyways, if you're looking for great, David Adewale is also tremendous in his role in Rebels. So and our boy Freddie Prinze Jr. is not bad. So the fact that you don't know it's Freddie Prinze till halfway during the show, you're like, oh yeah, Freddie.
He did. I honestly think he did the best, because every time I think of Freddie Prinze Jr., I think of either Scooby Doo or
She's All That,
the really bad 24. And when
wow. Hey, you watch what you say about 24.
no, he was bad in it. Right.
A lot of people were bad in 24.
That's true. That's true.
You watch what you say about 24.
No, Kiefer was the best part. Like, don't get me wrong, Sutherland is a gem, but like, some people just showed up for an episode just to be killed off, and they really just hammed it up for the 20 minutes as the clock was winding down. So this is the nature of the show. It's kind of like watching the Blacklist, when you watch actors come in and they just ham it up with Ultron for 25 minutes. So
with Ultron,
I could listen to him talk all day.
Honestly, I always think of him as Daniel Jackson from Stargate. I love him in Stargate, and I would love him and my boy Snake Plissken to continue to do Stargate films, because they would just be a joy of joy to see the two of them just on a sandy beach, just complaining about the sand. That's all I want in life. Like, Richard Dean Anderson, I get you. I love Stargate, the TV show, but there's something about that movie, that first movie, the Roland Emmerich movie, that just, it hits me deep spots. So yeah, I think of him and also his brief but tremendous run on The Office. I don't think anyone gets enough appreciation for that one season. He is so good. Unbelievable how funny he is, just being this menacing character. So shout out to and of course Boston Legal. I can go on and on about my love for
Christmas
him.
Chronicles.
Yeah, James Spader, I love you. Shout outs. Look at Rob. Just James Spader's the best. Don't do this. Especially him with Captain Kirk, him and Kirk just smoking cigars and drinking scotch on a balcony. That's all I want in life. If I could just join them and smoke cigars and have drink whiskey, that would be the greatest of days. Okay, so now that I've rambled enough, it's time for you, Rob, to talk to us. And that Scott has disclosed that he has no idea what Fat Man is. So
is this going to be like Andre's pitch?
Oh, this is even better.
I'm in on Rebels.
I know for sure that Andre, John, Fraser know what this is about. Tim, do you know what this is about?
No, I'm very scared.
Perfect.
Oh, there you go.
Lewis, do you know what this is about? Okay, so this is focus your energy to Tim and Scott, and let us tell us the joy that is Fat Man. The trailer just dropped 3 or 4 days ago
on Thursday.
Thursday, yes.
Listen. It's one sentence. Santa Claus must contend with a hitman sent from a disappointed child. That is Fat Man. Starring Mel Gibson as Santa Claus, who delivers a piece of coal to a piece of shit kid, and that Richie Rich wannabe child decides to hire a hitman, played by Walter Goggins, to go ahead and attack the North Pole. And Santa Claus has to defend himself with violence and Mel Gibson-y beards.
Guns.
Yes.
Oh, and wait! Before let this sink in, Rob. Can you then talk because you said something else in the chat that resonated with me. Can you bring up the idea that you or the
Oh, yes. So, if anybody here, I'm sure you've watched Scrooged, the Bill Murray 1988 Christmas masterpiece.
Tim,
and
okay,
that
Tim, have you seen it?
scene,
Oh, okay,
What?
Scott knows.
Scrooge?
Scott's interested.
Yeah,
reeling
all
it
right,
in.
you got me.
that
I'm back.
opening scene where
I'm
Lee
back.
Majors is playing like a Delta Force commando, and he's trying to protect the North Pole
There it
from
is!
being invaded. And you're watching that on Scrooge going, oh my God, I actually want to see it. It was called When the Night the Reindeer Died. And you're watching that on Scrooge knowing it's a fake trailer, but there's something inside you're like, I want to watch that.
And this
That's
is that
what Fat
movie.
Man is.
I can't believe this is real. I just
Yes,
Googled this.
that's
This
what
is
I
real?
said.
Look at Andre shaking his head.
Yep, that's what I said.
Yeah. Mel Gibson playing Santa Claus. But like
Okay.
not like a jolly old,
He-
Ed Asner version of Santa Claus from
I mean,
Elf.
is there
he's-
like an element of bad Santa to this at all, or
Well,
it's worse.
he looks like a drunken Santa.
And he's got
listen,
he's got a gun room. Santa has like a gun.
Santa has to have a
shack.
gun room.
Yeah.
He is breaking into people's houses, Andre, on a regular basis.
there are animals.
Valid point.
in
Santa
the
Claus,
North
master
Pole
thief
that
since
And he's
who
going
knows
to
how
America,
long.
Andre. You gotta load up.
Yeah.
I think the fact that you have the crazy Mel Gibson, like not even like Lethal Weapon Mel Gibson, not even Braveheart. You have like 2020
Gringo.
Mel Gibson.
It's Gringo.
so?
Yeah.
So what's the genre here? I mean, is it like
Fun.
action? Is it comedy?
It's
I would say
It's a
like
good
action
question,
slash
Scott.
horror.
Horror?
no,
Yeah.
it's like
It's gory.
it's a
gonna be
family
gory.
movie. This will be on.
SDF up.
This will be part of Netflix's Christmas. Because listen, Tim is a huge
The
Christmas
holiday.
movie fan. This is going to be
Where's
right up
Where's
there
this dropping? Is
with
it Netflix?
Fred Claus. I mean,
Fred Claus.
Where's this going to
Oh, man.
be?
it's in theaters. It's going to be in theaters
Theaters.
and streaming in November 17th, I think.
Wow.
It's called Fat Man, and literally Mel Gibson says they think they're coming after the Fat Man. They have another thing coming. Yes, so I highly recommend.
So he's
everybody
really
go and check out
Santa?
that trailer. What's that?
Mhm.
He's really Santa Claus?
Yeah.
Like that
Yeah.
is it's not
And
like
he
a
hates
just,
the imagery that we put out of him, like the jolliness. He's like, this is a load of crap.
Yeah, he
It,
disagrees.
it,
Crazy.
it does make sense that he's a Catholic because based on Mel Gibson's views, apparently.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that
Yeah.
fits.
It's the synergy is there, and let's not forget he made a small movie that made a lot of money about a guy we know, starring Jim Caviezel as our Lord and Savior. So I
I'll say
always
this,
refer to
Rob.
him as Jesus.
Rob, you got me with the tie-in to Scrooged.
That's what I told you.
Yep. Yeah, you
I
gotta
think,
watch.
I think my curiosity has peaked enough just based on that, where I might
Yeah.
give it a go.
Yeah,
What
you
where
have
is
to
it
watch
coming out, Rob? You didn't answer the question. Do
Yeah,
we know
November
where-
November
Yeah, November.
17th.
On
it-
what service? Is
So
it a
in
movie?
select theaters and video on demand.
It's going
video
on
on demand.
theaters.
No,
Yes.
yeah. Well, listen, in each of the GTA, there are theaters open. But yeah,
Not
and on
anymore.
streaming. Yes, they are.
think-
In my
I think
area,
they-
no, Toronto shut down.
Oh.
Drive 10 minutes down the 401 to Pickering. All the casinos and movies and theaters you want and restaurants are open. Please come on, share your wealth. But yeah, and it'll be on iTunes and I'm sure Google Play and all that on November 17th as well. So listen, is it worth a $5.99 rental? Yes. I'm so excited to see this movie because it could be a complete dumpster fire, but in 2020,
Could
expectations are only so high.
To be fair, my expectations for Bill and Ted were so low, and I walked away going, "This is great. I
Yeah,
loved it.
I
Bill
loved
and Ted
it.
3 was fantastic. It was everything I wanted. And you know what? I don't want a fourth. It was perfect. It ended on a note I wanted. I'm like, thank you. Carry on. So that was my 5-second review of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, or Bill and
So
Ted's
Scott,
3.
I'm really glad that you're going to watch it. I think
Tim?
I was not until you tied me in with the Scrooge, because then it's nostalgic. Because
yeah.
you're right. And Lee Majors, because I mean,
Right.
$6 million man, you can't go wrong with
He's
that.
not in this movie.
No, I
because
know, but
I don't think.
the energy behind it.
Yeah.
I knew that Scott was not impressed until that's why I knew I would help you out there, Rob. So don't say I didn't do
Thanks,
anything
buddy.
for you. But now the thing is for Tim though. Tim has not seen Scrooge. He has no idea what's
No. I have seen Scrooged. I thought you meant have I seen the Fat Man trailer?
Oh no, but
No,
are you
no.
interested in Tim now? Now that you've heard
You had me at hired a hitman to kill Santa. I'm good. I'm all in. I'm fine.
Converted.
And I do like. I don't know who Walton Goggins
James
plays,
Vandrell.
but I do like that guy a lot. So,
Crowder.
Jake, he was in Justified, which John and myself are
Yes.
the only two people who've watched. Love.
Oh no.
Oh,
Justified.
you just
all
finished watching.
seasons.
hold on.
Yeah.
His greatest
Ant-Man.
his greatest role is in Community.
Yes.
And he's the guy that gives out the stuff to the remaining members after one person passes.
Yes.
He's that guy. Yeah.
Yes.
No, he's awesome.
He is he was that guy. He was in Ant-Man and the Wasp. He's been in
Shield.
like 100. He was in Major Leagues 3, I think, back to the minors. Where it was Scott Bakula as the coach. Had everything else you want. Had
He was also in Sons of Anarchy. He
Sons
was he played the transvestite hooker.
So these are Walter Goggins is
A very memorable character.
He's also in Principals, I think, or Vice Principals, which is
Doesn't he have a new show out right now too?
The Unicorn.
Yes.
For those who haven't watched Vice Presidents, or it's an amazing show. It's like him being a vice president of a high school or trying to become the principal. It's tremendous. Walter Goggins is great.
Can we just everybody who's been watching the live feed or the feed on YouTube just know that if you're focusing on Tim and the little giggles, it's because he's watching the trailer for Fat Man,
No.
and that's why he's all excited.
Yeah. I mean, my screen is just populated with Mel Gibson in a homeless man beard pointing a gun at me, and I'm just loving it.
Right,
It looks
2020,
great.
bro.
Yeah.
2020.
It's awesome.
We have Ronnie driving right now. What's up, buddy? You're driving on the road. We don't want to interrupt you while driving. We just appreciate you out there with the people. So
Heaps. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
I was supposed to be doing work, and I managed a way to duck out so I could do the call because she saw that I wasn't doing anything and we have a house to clean. So I ducked out, and I made a great escape. I'm thankful for two major things holding me down through quarantine.
Perfect.
The Boys season 2 that just wrapped up on Friday.
Yep, we talked about that. Perfect.
Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. I don't know if you guys already touched on it, but Justice League Dark Apocalypse War definitely held me down. Was really blown away by it. Really took our heroes and put them into a tough spot and was very grown adult-like. So I really liked what DC did there.
That's a perfect drop, man.
That really set things up.
I'm a little torn with Justice League Dark. I watched it when it first came out, and I loved the fact that they were and we talked about this before in a previous podcast, magic. They just don't really emphasize it too much in the DC universe. But why Batman? Like, do we need Batman and everything?
Yeah.
This is another thing where I'm like, why is he
More
here?
Batman.
Why? We don't need him. I'd rather just
Batman
Constantine.
is a cheat code. Yeah.
He's a cheat code. Nice.
And
then up, down, left, right, BATMAN.
Did he really do anything there anyways? Like, he didn't do anything. Like, he's just there. It's like, oh, you have a flying house. Great. Like, Batman would not be phased with a flying house. Like, what does this have to do with anything? I get it, but I just think that they did Swamp Thing dirty, and I think Rob mentioned he doesn't get Swamp Thing, but my God, is he a character that is so rich and so wonderful? And in our time of watching Brazil burn down the forest right now, you better believe Swamp Thing would be there just kicking ass and taking names. So,
or he wouldn't. He would just be going, I don't know what to do.
No. You are thinking Man Thing. Don't get the two mixed up. Man
Rob and his
Marvel
giant-sized
universe would be
Man
like-
Thing, his other history search bar.
Thank you, John.
Don't Google that.
Man Thing would be like, I don't know what I'm doing right now. Do I need to do anything? But Swamp Thing, dear God, he is just a gift. So if you haven't,
no, he'd be looking for Heather Locklear. I need. Where's Heather Locklear? That's all he'd be doing.
Digging a hole there, Rob.
That's a deep cut. To your point, you finished watching season 2, Ronnie, of The Boys.
Yeah.
Did you think it was better than season 1 in your opinion, or did you like season 2 more? Because we talked about the final episodes, but as a whole, which one did you prefer more?
Definitely, I would say I preferred season 1 more. There was that. That's just me. It's if I'm going away from the final episodes.
Yep.
Season 1 definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I think it moves faster. Season 1
moves faster. Just the introduction of characters. There were moments in season 2 where it just kind of just got, quiet and just kind of stale. And season 1 was everybody was moving around. Nobody really knew what to do. In my head, I'm thinking, how could I hide from Superman? Where could I go? Homelander's out there. And I'm just like, this guy's going to come in any second now and grab me while I'm on the toilet. So I'm like, I don't know. So I kind of have that feeling, like I'm sitting like, you guys are going up against Superman. You guys are trying to hide from him and you guys are trying to run from him. I'm like, this is literally not going to work.
Hey, Ronnie, can I ask you a quick question? Yeah. I'm not going to spoil anything, but I think everybody would probably concur online that season 2 is a lot more gorier than the first season.
Definitely.
So do you find though that has detracted from your liking of season 2 a bit? Do you find that they went too heavy on the gore just for going for gore's sake, or do you thought
I don't know if they felt. Go on.
No, I was gonna say, or do you think it was just like the right amount? Because I didn't know if it was too gratuitous just to push the envelope, or if it served the story purposes.
I think like if anyone hasn't watched it, the certain head exploding scene,
scanners, yeah,
right.
For those of us who are also very old, again, these references are for the new kids watching. Have no idea what these are. This is our Lance Hendricks Millennium moment of the day when you talk about that show. Millennium, by the way, a show. Lance Hendricks. Carry on, Ronnie.
I would understand maybe 1 or 2 individuals, but there was that scene where it was just multiple people left and right, and I know that they wanted to kind of introduce a shock value to everybody that was in the room, but for us at home, you're just like, okay, like I understand 1 or 2. You guys are now like 5, 6, 7, 8, and it's just a bit too much. And I don't know if they were just like, we just want to really shock everybody, right? But I would have turned that down. I mean, perfect example, A-Train running through Hugh's girlfriend. Perfect. It was one moment, it happened, slow motion, but I could at least rewind that back and be like, oh my, like it's gory, but like it makes sense for what is going on. I felt like the way that they did it there just kind of worked out. Yeah, no, I would definitely agree with you. I think they went a bit overboard, but at the time, tensions were kind of running high with everything going on, so I kind of understood, but I would have probably toned it down a bit, especially for someone who's not a big fan of the show. They might just be sitting there like, oh, this is too much, turn it off.
So I wanted to ask you, I asked Fraser mentioned that was a show he enjoyed watching as well, and Fraser's coming from a lens where he didn't read the comics, which I think is really good. I think Tim, I was going to ask you, did you read the comic books, or you're just going straight on TV?
Oh, straight off of TV. A friend of mine at work was just like, oh, have you heard of this show? And I'm like, if someone tells me about a show that I've never heard of, that second, I'm going online, finding everything out and going from there. No, I didn't have a chance to read the comic, but I would like to do that because I really like to see the comparison and how they bring all of that together. I've heard a few things, which I wish I didn't hear, but I actually wanted to dive into that fully.
And to both of you who haven't read the books, it's, as I've told Fraser already, it's very different. There's so much difference between the book and the show. I think the show cherry picks the best parts of the series and combines characters and kind of fits it for what we need today. I think there's a lot of stuff in the comic that just, it's gratuity and sex for no reason, just for shock value, to your point. And the head stuff is one thing, but the amount of some of the other things that happen in the book, and you're like, okay, I get it. Let's carry on. Like, there's a whole bunch of weird stuff in the comics that it's fine for a comic book, but I don't foresee them ever doing it in a TV show, because that's stuff that you could never get away with. Because you can kill a man with blood, but you cannot show people, getting it on, or any type of sexual stuff. So it kind of does a balancing act. But I would say for you guys, eventually check out the books, but like Game of Thrones, just watch the show, enjoy it, and then don't imagine the books exist, because the moment you start dipping into it, you'll start looking and you're like, oh, I feel like this is the way it should go into. So go in blind. Don't bother reading the books now. Buy them, put them aside, and when you're ready and it's done, then finish it off, because they're so drastically different, and they have the one-off specials, and the fact they're doing a boys spin-off, which I assume is going to be all the storyline they couldn't do in the boys. They're just going to throw it into that show. So essentially, when
it's
you
a high
read,
school, it's like Saved by the Bell for the.
and
for the
I think
boys.
it's going to be, and for you guys who don't know, it's probably going to be a copy of the G-Men, which is their version of the X-Men, and it's going to be just the storyline of that, and they're going to throw it into the show and build. And so when you read the comics later, you're going to see them kind of diverging, and they're going to basically milk two shows from one comic book. So that's my perspective. I don't know if Andre, you see it differently, but I think that's what they're going to do.
Yeah, I think like Rob mentioned, they're doing the whole high school thing, and I think I mentioned in the other podcast that it's probably gonna, be similar in tone to the series Deadly Class, but I'm sure this one is just going to be way more gratuitous and stuff. So I think every media company is if something works, they're beating the drum hard because they need content. And we talked about it earlier. The movies aren't going to be where money's made. It's going to be all on streaming services now. So if you've hooked the audience with the boys, you better give them something to watch the boys in the off boys season, and I think we're seeing that, like Netflix is, they've okayed and greenlit sequels to stuff, and then they're everybody's kind of content hunting, like Netflix just announced like they're doing a Conan series, and then they've announced a Witcher spin-off. We haven't even got Witcher 2 yet, so it's there's a lot of announcements in the pipe.
Masters of the Universe.
Yeah, Masters of the Universe, but I think that one already started.
It's a cartoon.
So, yeah.
Yeah, a cartoon.
Yeah. Still. Yeah, it's and written by, and Andre may not Kevin write it off because it's written by Kevin Smith. So Andre might already be out. So we gotta be careful.
Probably.
Yeah, 100%.
100%. He's a huge He-Man fan. I think he's gonna do it justice.
Let me talk a little bit about when people hear Andre hate. I don't hate for like the sake of it. There's always a story behind it. So Kevin Smith may say, "Oh, I'm a big He-Man fan." Okay, that's great. He also said he's a big Daredevil fan, and he left retailers, and at the time he also owned a comic store. He was writing a story called Daredevil Target, I think, and it was supposed to be Daredevil versus Bullseye. It never finished. He did a book called Spider-Man Black Cat. It took like years to finish, like years. I don't even think it actually really did finish. So here's a guy that professes this love for stuff, and he's in the same boat as we are as a partial owner of a comic store, but then he's going to like make a product that is so delayed, and then you as a store, you're like, oh, Kevin Smith's going to bring people to the store that are not necessarily comic readers, and they're going to buy this comic, and then it never comes out, or it never finishes, or those initial people bought issue 1 and 2, and if issue 3 comes out 5 years later or it doesn't finish, they're not coming back. So when I say I dislike somebody because of kind of like reasons like that. Sure.
However, there's an exception to the rule, which Andre, you said last week. There's an exception.
I did say that, but also that
because it doesn't matter how long he takes, because you love the comic.
But at the same time, that's a comic guy making comics, right? So that was 2 comic creators, Warren Ellis and Sean Cassidy on Planetary. However, when you get like a guy like Kevin Smith who's got his feet in other areas, to me, it's like that person saying, oh, I'm not going to bother finishing the comics because I got this other gig. And also, there was a really cool comic that came out the same month that Iron Man 1 came out. And it was drawn by Adi Granoff, who did a lot of the concept art for Iron Man. You guys all know his art. And it was written by Jon Favreau. And we only got 2 issues of that. And it never finished. So I have so little respect for people that put down and don't finish a comic series that they committed to. And also as a store, we push and people come in and they say, hey, I just saw Iron Man. What can I read? Oh, here's a comic by the creators of the movie and the concept artists of the movie. And then those people come back a month later for that comic and it's not out. Then they come back another month and it's not out. Then they stop coming back. Right. So I think it's super disrespectful. And again, I will always hold that against them. So Jon Favreau, not high in my books, but you guys know that. But that's some of the reasons for it. It's not just because I decided to randomly say I hate Jon Favreau. I randomly decided to say I hate Kevin Smith or I dislike those guys. No,
Robert Kirkman's on that list. We got to put a list together.
Robert Kirkman's on that list. There's people because it's they don't owe me anything personally because I and John own a comic shop. They don't. But they owe it to their fans because I have bought their product and said, hey, Fraser, hey, Lewis, buy this comic because it's by these guys. And Fraser and Lewis are customers of mine. They're like, hey, if Andre says it's good, here we go. And then 2-3 years later, there's nothing. That's like again, who wants to buy a book? Could you imagine going to a bookstore, picking up a book, and the first 100 pages is book, and then the last 100 is blank pages because the author decided he didn't want to finish it?
That's essentially
Game of Thrones.
That's Game of Thrones. Yeah, I was gonna say,
there you go.
That is the antithesis of Game of Thrones.
Exactly. Yeah. But now you could at least know that the guy hasn't written it. Whereas with a comic book, it's coming out every month. Like you don't know that it's not going to finish. Anyways, that's my little rant on that. Yeah. Just wanted to set that clear that if you hear me talking of a poor opinion of somebody, it isn't just because I decided to randomly pull their name out of a hat and say I dislike.
There is a story where one of these people slapped Andre in the face, but we're not going to say it real live in person. He bumped into at a convention, him or her, and then a fisticuffs happened. So there's a secret storyline where Andre got in a fight with someone, but that's a whole other matter. The books kind of get the pass because George R. Martin kind of gets that Game of Thrones pass.
He's gonna die.
Yeah.
Well, let's be fair. The writer of Dune died, and his son took over. And
that's true.
Tolkien. Like there's a bunch of people that die. Some better, some worse. Questionable.
What's it's Terry Pratchett's Wheel of Time or whatever, right? Like, but see, at least those guys got like at
least death was there. That's what the thing was. It was death.
23 books for the Wheel of Time.
They died.
Got a good
excuse. Died
excuse.
doing what they loved. Let's keep going. They were late, but they died. Let's keep on going.
They had an excuse.
All right. Well, here we go. We are finally at the topic of topics. We finished thanking everyone. Thinking for the year. Let's jump quickly to Umbrella Academy season 2. I don't know if you finished that, Ronnie, or if not, you can enjoy us on the
almost done.
Okay, well, we'll try not to spoil too much, but John and Andre have not seen it, so they have no idea what's going on. So for those at home,
I know what's going on.
Store, but for the fans, you guys need to tackle it properly. I'm just gonna hop out. That way, you guys can dive into it fully and give the fans what they want.
Well, before you jump, then. Out of the episodes you've watched, have you enjoyed season 2?
Loved it.
So far, you like it.
I try to compare it to other comic book shows. And
do you like season 1 better or season 2 better so far of what you watched?
I like the development of season 2 better right now.
Okay. So
definitely.
That's a perfect note. If you need to run, we appreciate you coming on. Thank you as always.
Thank you,
guys. Pleasure seeing all of you.
See you, man.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
All right, so here we go. I'm going to open the floor to Scott first, and then to give his assessment of season 2. And really, at this standpoint, Andre and Rob are probably not going to watch it, so this is full spoilers. We're just going to go into it now that.
Well, if it's this much better than season 1, maybe I will, because I just thought number 1 was just hot trash.
Well, we'll go into it because I think we need to really pull you in, Andre. So we're going to go full out. We're going full out. Don't hold back, Scott. Say whatever you want. Season 2, go.
I like how again, Ronnie,
spoiler. Yeah. Sorry.
Touched on the development of just the characters, but like I really appreciated the 2020 is dark, right? We got a lot of bad stuff going on, and I'm south of the border here, so we got a lot of bad stuff going on. But the way that they tie in a lot of the race implications, dealing with Dallas in the 60s and the assassination and how that ties into those characters, like I really liked. Why am I blanking on her name?
Anya,
Rumor Girl.
The voice.
Yeah.
The whisper or whatever.
Yeah.
Allison.
Allison. Thank you. Gosh.
Rumor.
I thought that was really powerful, and it was done in a tasteful way. But it was kind of a nice way to see, sort of real-time politics kind of tying into that, but done in a way that was still easy to watch and still enjoyable. It didn't overpower the whole storyline. So I felt like it was, still watchable without, depressing me on a daily basis. And I mean, Klaus, like I when we got to the end and, I don't need full spoilers, but like I'm missing Klaus. Like I love that character. I love characters that have to go full, like hit the bottom and then come back up, where and to kind of redeem themselves, because that's what we do as humans, right? Like we are fallible. We are, sometimes we screw up, sometimes we make big mistakes. And to see, someone like just hit rock bottom and then come back and make some good saves, I don't want to make too many spoilers, but
you can say whatever you want because it's fine. Like here. Go. Don't worry.
Yeah, I just love I love the redemption of that character, and plus I don't know the lore or the legend or the canon of it, but just the portrayal by the actor, I could watch that all day.
So I assume you haven't read the comic books, correct?
I have not.
Okay.
But it's something where I would definitely go back to see some of the comparisons. Again, it's kind of like what I said with the Old Guard. Like it was enough where I was like, I like this. I like the flash of it, and it looks good. But I'd be willing to go back and dive in just to see how it compares for sure. But I think the Allison storyline, just with her getting involved in all the racial politics, of Dallas in the 60s, and then just the redemption of Klaus were probably the two biggest things that I enjoyed watching for that whole season.
Just for those who somehow are still listening in the spoiler section, but just as a reminder, the way the season 1 finished was essentially the characters were dealing with the ramifications of the said apocalypse that happened. They jumped into a portal, which they were able to do as a family. And then in this story arc, they have now moved to a different timeline, which is why we're talking about the 60s in that time period. So that is where we're at. And in terms of where the family members are and how they're dealing with things. But that's, for your context, Andre, where we're at. I'm sure that's pretty much all you need to know, and then everything fills in the blank. But Fraser, go. What do you think? Like, what did you enjoy more about? Did you enjoy 1 or 2 more? And if you enjoy season 2, why did you enjoy season 2 more?
I enjoyed season 2 more, and I actually liked how it started, where they went into the past, but they didn't all go to the same point in the past. Like they all ended up in the 60s, but like I think Alice, she's like 1960.
It's a year apart, right?
Yeah, like everybody seems to be jumping, and like by the time 5 comes through the portal, he's at what present time of the wherever it all takes place is at. But we find out like how everybody has been doing essentially on their own, without the family. So it's like Space Boy, he is basically become a mob boss, hit muscle man,
like
bodyguard, enforcer, and is kind of not giving a crap about anything. And Diego's in a mental ward and has to figure his way out, and that escalates and going forth. And I really enjoyed the surprise moments on how the characters kind of handled themselves outside of their academy and how it all came together. And I thought it was really good.
So I got a couple sense of where Scott felt the MVP was. So I didn't need to ask Scott who his favorite character was. But for you, Fraser, who was the MVP of season 2 for you? Who did you think was the best utilized?
Best utilized, I kind of have to agree. It's Klaus. Like his arc, I think, was the most explored. But basically, he sets himself up as Jesus, and for the most part, and like uses his powers to kind of make that cult and stuff like that. But like literally, like you said, like to hit the rock bottom and work your way up. Like his arc was probably, I would have to say, the best out of all the characters.
It's interesting you say that. I'll leave my thoughts because I want to give Lewis his time to shine, and maybe I'll interject. But I feel like no one's going to take my point, so I'll keep on going. But Lewis, give us your thoughts.
I do like season 2 a lot more just because of the character development. They dropped them all in a period of time that they're not too familiar with, except for 5. I do like 5's storyline just because he's basically trying to chase after himself to get a suitcase. I thought that was funny, and then just everything going wrong, and then kicking himself, or do you throw himself through the portal? Like, I thought that was great. That was just fun. That was just like idiotic, but hilarious at the same time. So I like that. But yeah, I have to agree. I like the character development for was it Klaus and Allison? Those were the 2 highlights of the season for sure. Yeah.
And the way that the show ended, was that something? Did you? Assuming you did not read the comic books as well, or did you read?
No. I didn't read the comics, so I'm basically going in blind.
So with that, the ending that happened at that point where they kind of jumped back to their timeline, was that a moment of shock when that happened to you? Like, what was that moment like for you when you saw that?
There were little seeds of them manipulating the 60s, so I wasn't too surprised. It was kind of expected that shit was going to go sideways when they jump back to the timeline. So it's interesting what they will do in season 3 if they do have a season 3.
I think it was confirmed because
I think it was lit.
It's all good. Yeah.
Done very well for them.
Yeah, I like to see what happens when they go against the other class.
No, it's you, I think Andre and John, who have a comic book store, know what's going on. They've read it. Yeah. So it's not a surprise to them. I think they know the source material and not necessarily TV. And I think to Andre and John, the show is so drastically different than the book that at this point, nothing you read in the book kind of matches. And I know that was one of Andre's biggest concerns, was that when he watched the original, the characters, just personas and the look didn't kind of facilitate what his vision was. And that's kind of the double-edged sword of reading, comic and then seeing this TV show. It's kind of the joys that Fraser has and Ronnie about watching The Boys without knowing the boys in the comic book. Like in The Boys, the comic book, Huey is modeled after Simon Pegg. So like that is who, he's a British guy, like Scottish guy. He looks like Simon Pegg. Like when I read the book, that's the voice I hear. So to watch, someone else do it, it's without knowing the details, is kind of a nice thing to have. And I think, the same thing with the, Umbrella Academy season 2. It's so drastically different, Andre and John, that I think that.
Well, it's like the TV show is like the real, and then the comic is like they based it off their story. So you get like a little bit more superhero action in the comic book, compared to the TV show, where you get a lot more kind of character development, which is what I like about the show.
Yeah, not a ton of superhero stuff for sure.
Yeah. So if you want to see the flip side, then you check out the comic.
Yeah, I would say the superhero stuff that was really awesome was in season 2, kind of the beginning, when you got to see them utilize their powers like properly, and you're like, this is them honing their skills, doing things correctly. This is the maximum potential of what things could be if they just weren't goofing around. And it was cool to kind of see just a little bit of people doing stuff, and Klaus fully utilizing power, and all these people just doing kind of, the whole joke about, even with Lucy, like the fact that we only use a small percentage of our brain. Same thing, these with proper training. And that's the whole stick behind the X-Men, right? Like Cyclops could just I-beam things, but like with proper training and technique,
like mountains.
Yes, quote unquote a mountain.
1,000 feet, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. As John was. Yeah, we're just. I think we're just waiting to say optic blast. But anyways, Tim, as I know, you have lots of thoughts, and almost tell us.
He's definitely watched it at least twice, maybe 3 times.
Yeah, I was all in on this show, and
Yeah,
I'm glad that we get to talk about it at least a little bit today. Season 1, I loved it. I was all in. I liked the story. I had never read the comics before. I now have picked up from Heroes World all 3 trades. I was hesitant to read them because I was scared I was going to spoil stuff. So I only read the first one, and then even just in reading the first one, which is excellent, you do realize how different it is. So I was like, okay, so they're not really tying this in at all. I did read that season 3 of the show may be very close to what the 4th trade is going to be. So I did read somewhere that I think that they're slowly going to start to get a little bit closer in terms of Sparrow Academy, like you were saying. I loved it, man. I thought the show was great. The 2nd season I thought was more of exactly what I wanted, if anything. And Andre, I'm not going to look at Andre's reaction as I say this, but there wasn't as much musical interludes as I enjoyed in the first. I thought that was a cute thing. Like, my wife really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
My wife, I mean, here's the thing. For me, we've talked about this before. I like shows or things like that I can bring other people in that wouldn't, need to, right? Like, or that wouldn't normally like it. But the musical parts in the second one, the few that they did have, like the Dancing with Myself, where Five, as Lewis mentioned, like where Five's fighting himself, and the song is Dancing with Myself. That was just genius. I think my standout character was Diego. I really like Diego. I thought the expansion upon his powers, like when you then realized what his powers were capable of, which I only realized at the end scene when he takes like those millions of bullets and he's able to redirect all of them. And then I realized that when you watch that first scene where you were talking about, like when they're like a true Justice League, when he spins and flips and kills all those people, I didn't realize what he's doing, but he's actually taking all the bullets that are shot at him and whipping them to other people. Like, I just thought, man, that is so cool. His character was good. And then I really liked the new girl, Leela. I thought she was good. I thought she's a great character. Her power was pretty cool. And, I'm excited. I like the ending. I thought the ending was a great cliffhanger with that Sparrow Academy, because we know there's 43 of these babies out there, right? So there has to be 43 of these people out there somewhere. So obviously, Hargreaves only got the 7 of them or whatever it is.
Reginald, yes.
Yeah. Who I thought his character was amazing in the 2nd season too. That there's 43 of these guys, right? So who knows what can happen, and plus the time travel and all that. So yeah, I love that show. I thought it was great. And another plug, go pick up the trades. I think it's a good addition while we wait for season 3.
So can I ask a question here now? Yep. Obviously it's like, now that you've read the books and you see, like I said, how different it is, like, is there a part of you like that feels that, why bother with the source material if they're going to be so vastly different?
I like it because it's just extra stuff for me to read, right? Like it's just extra stuff, and it's like almost it's just like more stories of this. Andre, I agree. It's very hard for me to read the comic because I'm like, that's not what Allison looks like, or that's not what Five looks like, right? Like the characters look so different. Space Boy, is he called in the comics? Space Boy. Yeah, so different, right? Like he's just got the gargantuan hairy arms and all that. So it is tough, but I mean, I know the comics came first, but to me the shows came first, and so the shows is canon for me, and the comics
it might
are
be
like
different
because
we went backwards. Andre went comics and then show. Like most of us watched the show and then saw these designs. I was like, oh, that's cool. That's their superhero costume. Maybe it doesn't look good on the screen, but it's cool in a comic.
But to digest it in and it sounds like Tim did the same. Like I watched season 1 like the day before season 2 came out, and then I watched season 2 that weekend because my family was out of town.
Yeah, you went crazy.
Like I did, but like there's like a void, So like I haven't picked anything up yet, but like I would love to fill that void with the other source material. So it's actually it kind of makes, even though it might be different, I have no idea. I want more.
Yeah, and that's what the trades will give you, right? It gives you more of it, and it's nice that it's not spoiling it. I really appreciate that too. That like, okay, I can read these trades and not worry that I'm going to spoil season 3, which I'm going to watch with my wife the day it comes out, right? And I'm not going to be spoiled on anything. So that's nice.
I think to John's point, the comic is kind of the uber, kind of the ultra version of the characters that are a little bit more comic booky, that, you know, whether it be the X-Men wearing the spandex or all the other things that happen in comic books that just generally don't translate into
there's
live
like aliens
action.
that land in weird blobby
Yeah,
things and
so
stuff, and
it
you're just
works
like,
out really
okay.
well. And
Eiffel Tower spaceships.
It's a nice companion piece. Yeah, the character's a little different, but you know, if you now, like any books you read or anything else, like you hear things now, the characters, it doesn't mean it's not better or worse. It's just a nice difference. But to your point, it is John's point is that it is nice to kind of have it like an ultra version. It's like when you see those comic book movies, even in the Wolverine, when you know, Hugh Jackman's like Logan looking through the comic book of the X-Men and kind of like, oh, this is not how it is, but okay, sure. So it's kind of a ultra version of those characters and how they live and work. So
Tim, can I just one more question for Tim on this? Would you have watched this if it was a cartoon that was closer to the comic, now that you've read the comic? Like if Umbrella Academy was a cartoon instead of live action, would you have watched it? Or was something?
Going back to what I said at the beginning of the pod, like I love these things where it's just like I only have one continuum to follow. So yeah, I think the story, I like it. I like the idea of it. So yeah, if it's a cartoon, are you making a cartoon? Because I'll watch.
They could still spin it. They could spin it like those Hellboy cartoons.
Yeah,
and do an Umbrella Academy more close to the comic.
But it would be hard now because, like, I mean, Umbrella Academy was the #1 show on Netflix for a long time in multiple countries. So you're getting a lot of people vested into these characters. It might be hard to like go back to the comic now for the mainstream.
And here's the thing, to be fair, Andre, I wouldn't watch it, the cartoon version of it, just as a hot take. I think that there's Gareth Way created these characters, but in a proper writer's room with 12 people, like if all of us are sitting here talking about storylines and coming up with ideas, what they did with season 2 is they gave gravitas to all the separate characters. They let them kind of grow, develop. Like to point at Diego, like there's no one who did such a drastic, did nothing in season 1 to like got a satisfying arc in season 2, and that would never happen in the comic books. So it didn't happen in the comic books. Like, so there's a lot of things that happen. Even Ellen Page's character, you know, on like, again, there's truly a lot of it's based on her real life situation. She's playing Ellen Page. Speaking of actors that don't do anything different, she's playing herself in the show, but there is gravitas to it. There's touch points of today's society that echo back then, and the ramifications and things like that. So I think that with more people, professional writers doing it, rather than, you know, no disrespect to Gareth Way, like musician and he's a writer, but it's
a cartoon would still have a writer's room.
But you know, I think it's just a way different show. Like it is like an X-Men the animated series TV show. That's fine. Like that's great, but it's not the same as, because the characters are already kind of super exaggerated as is. It wouldn't be like Batman the animated series that had a different tone. That is the gold standard of still that original series was very realistic, very serious. Batman wasn't Bat God. Like he got beat up, like he didn't have all the best technology. His Batmobile was fine, but not like I could hover and all these, like he still was a detective. Like that's the most purest form of Batman. And now if you watch the cartoons with him, he's just flying around and doing wacky stuff all the time, like the new Batman series compared to the animated series, the OG one. So it is different. I think that the show, and again, I'm gonna finish up because Rob has been waiting very patiently, and I know Rob is gonna drop some hot takes. So Rob, please, you've been waiting most patiently out of everyone else, and you and I have been waiting. So I figured waiting a little bit longer is not going to kill you. Go ahead.
So I actually really enjoyed season 2. Season 1 came out of left field for me. I had no idea what to expect going in, and was pleasantly surprised at just how different it was from every other MCU or DCU property that we had seen. So then getting into season 2, I really enjoyed it. Everybody has spoken here about how Klaus is their favorite character, and I found it really interesting in that in season 1 he's a massive drug head, always high, always drunk, lands in the 60s, and it doesn't do any drugs, which is what the 60s were really known for. Doesn't do any drugs, and he's completely sober, and he's even more out there than he was in season 1. So I thought that as a character development was really interesting. I have to give credit to Aidan Gallagher, who plays number 5. This kid just turned 13 or 14, and he's holding his own against a whack of adults, right? And is chewing that scenery like crazy, and he is definitely the backbone of that entire series, which is crazy to say for a guy that young, but man, he is so good. My only problem I have, and I love season 2, is that the ending is all predicated on exactly what we saw with season 1. It's all about Vanya, and whatever happens with her is what leads into the next season. And so your big bad is essentially the same as Vanya, just like it was in season 1. Mm-hmm. And I found that to be a little bit like, okay, we're retreading, because season 2 is so diametrically different in terms of its tone, locations, character, because they're not all together. Like we've all said, they're separated by a year, right? When they land. And so you've seen their own individual developments, and yet everybody gets together at the end in 68 or whatever, 69. And it's all because Vanya is about to explode in something else. And, with the assassination, right? So, or 63, I guess. So it was just, for me, I was just like, I wish that I just wish that they had done something a bit differently instead of making Vanya again at the end the big bad of the series. But I'm looking forward to season 3, whenever that may be. I get the Charlie Brown reference. I'm waiting for it, and it's going to be picked up. And who knows when they're going to be allowed to come back to Hamilton, Ontario, to start filming, right? So
we're different than the U.S. So I think that they'll allow those people to come in and quarantine and film. So it's happening in Vancouver. So it's happening.
Apparently, as well, out like Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, and stuff, they have had so many film crews and movies and stuff there that they might actually not have enough people for the demand. And they said right now they're pushing the film season into the fall and winter, which they usually don't have. So they're saying it's really good for their economy as well. And that could be cool. Like maybe certain movies or television shows could be like, yeah, we can change our locale in the story to be that type of setting, because they've got next to no cases. So I think that would be great for areas that don't have cases. You can kind of prop up industry and maybe allow some people to maybe move. Like if you're Canadian, maybe you just drive out there and you get your tests, and maybe we can get some of these shows and movies up and running.
I also wanted to say lastly is that I was really happy to see more of a progression with Ben as a character, because in season 1, you really don't see him a lot. And then that ties into his, the way his embodiment between him and Klaus. I mean, I get that he's in Klaus and stuff like that in terms of like a spirit and all that, but the two of them play so well physically off each other that, they're symbiotic. Right, in both in story and during filming. So I think a massive shout out to both Ben and Klaus, the actors, because they just did a fantastic job.
Yeah, and Ben's new haircut is fire.
Yeah,
and I think badass.
Ghosts have to look good too, Tim.
Yeah, I think we can all agree that what the show does better than the comic, and some of you haven't read the comic, I have, but it does a really good job. And just because the medium of television, you got hours and hours of it, they do a really good job of showing family dynamics, like just the interactions that all of us have with siblings or family in general. It's just the little nuances of like, you've grown up with these people your entire lives. You have your own shorthands. You can see how to press people's buttons. Like it just, all of them you can get a sense of that in season 2 that you never got in season 1. They all felt very robotic. Like all of us put in a room together. It's like, you guys are all brothers, and be like, okay. It's like, now figure that out. And we're like, all right. And only where spending time with someone that you can really build that. And you can see in season 2 that they had that relationship in season 1 where they built the time together and they got maybe hung out in trailers a bit more. And then season 2, the writers really emphasized a lot of it. And it was kind of that moment where, I know Andre hates Kirkman and Orsi, but they always talk about sometimes they see in scripts and they try to do in Star Trek is it's an ensemble group, but there's like in baseball, there's always a moment where two people connect, whether it's a shortstop catches it, throws it the first, or throws it the third, or throws it like a catcher. Like baseball is basically a 2-person kind of interaction, but it's a team involved. And with what happened really well in this show was that they had a lot of like two characters interact with each other and really they hit it home. They had that connection, and then they would stop that and be like, okay, now we're gonna do the other two, and just connected everyone together that way, very eloquently. Whether it was Allison and her husband, who deserves a medal for just being an awesome dude, Diego just having something out of nothing, and all the characters had something, and when they interacted with each other, you saw the pain of years of being picked on, or the years of just distrust, or like, you never believed in me. And shout out again for Diego, that moment when he meets his father and just gets his ass kicked and sees him, and just the heartbreaking nature of like, it's you, and just like, it just to see Diego's heart just break, to see the disappointment that his father is like, you're an idiot, like, this is who I raised, like, and which leads to this new season when you could see that these guys are colossal screw ups, and why there was a need to be. He's like, I met these guys, they're losers. I'm not picking these kids. I'm picking other kids.
Yeah.
So it's kind of that nice dynamic where Reginald is there, and Colin Feole, who of course American actor who's now lived in Canada and in beautiful movies like Good Cop, Bad Cop. He is just fantastic as always. That's a great movie if you've ever seen it. It's on Netflix as well. It's great. He's tremendous. And he was also Lofi in Thor, in Thor the first movie. But he's just a great character actor. But just seeing the dynamics of the family, which is why season 2 resonates and works so well as opposed to the comic, is yes, the comic has more powers, but powers I can see anywhere. That's why the X-Men work well. That's why the Fantastic Four work. I want to see the dynamic of teamwork and family. Like, I get it, they're awesome, but I want to see what happens behind the scenes, which is why Umbrella Academy works so well in season 2. But yeah, I don't know if there's that much disappointment. I'm fine with the Anya thing, Rob. It was, I think that she is still the phoenix of the group, where she's so overpowerful, she's always going to be a thing until they meet someone else who is as powerful, that can do more. But we'll see what happens. I think it's worth your time, Andre, to watch it, just to get to know how well you can take these characters and run with them. And yeah, to your point, you can still read the comic books, but I think that the comic books has more powers, but lacks, I guess you would say, heart compared to the show. But again, you'll be the judge once you plow through it and see it. Without us spoiling everything, I think we've done a pretty good job of not going too deep into things. These are light
dancing
spoilers.
Around.
But
one thing.
Go ahead.
How do they explain Ben aging as a dead guy?
Okay, stop. You like Lower Decks. Get out of here.
Whoa. It's kind of like how Anakin Skywalker aged, and also not aged in the Star Wars movies as well, because he aged and then he somehow in the movies that we released became Hayden Christensen.
Younger again.
How did he get younger again?
I can answer that question.
Oh no, here we go.
We don't have time.
Oh, no.
Turkeys are cooking. All right, the stuffing's got to go in the bird.
Andre. Yes, Andre. Please. Let's.
No, it's okay. No Star Wars deep dives. We'll say
no. I want to know. I truly want to know. Why is Anakin a Force ghost as young Anakin and not old man Anakin?
Because when you use the Force to do that, you are projected as you last were on that side of the Force. And the last time we saw Anakin as Anakin Skywalker, not Darth Vader, and when he was a light side person, as Luke is viewing him, it's that personification, it's that projection. So Yoda and Obi-Wan would both be seen as when they passed, because they never left that side. So just the same way in some of the novels that unfortunately are not canon, there was a Obi-Wan story where he learns to connect with Qui-Gon, and it's the same Qui-Gon Liam Neeson that we saw. So they're not taking a different things, but yes, I guess they made that explanation just because of the special edition. So
that's just Klaus's projection of Ben. It's not really Ben.
Maybe
it could be how Klaus would perceive. Klaus ages and he sees. Yeah, but I haven't seen it. But I'm almost excited to see this Umbrella Academy if Klaus dies, just to watch him die, because I really didn't dive with that dude at all. So. But again, I like him better in the comic.
Unbelievable. Like,
we may have misled Andre a little bit here.
Oh, damn it.
Yeah. I don't think you're going to get what you want to get.
To be fair, Andre, what you said there about the storyline could be used in the Obi-Wan miniseries. So let's leave it out there for Ewan McGregor.
You know, I don't know if they're that smart because unfortunately they're not. No, they're not.
Who's the executive producer? Filoni is probably involved in this.
But the problem is they're not taking stuff from the novels because they basically pushed all the stuff from the novel and they're taking nuggets from it. And maybe they will glean that part, but there's so much from the expanded universe that they just aren't looking at. And unfortunately, I don't think that they are I just don't think they're smart enough to pull that stuff, because all the rumors we heard about the Obi-Wan stuff is that they had to stop because they're rewriting it and rewriting. And there's actually tons of really I would say really good lore with Obi-Wan, be it from the comic books and some novels, that with a writer's room they could start with that stuff and work their way up. Again, I'm gonna reference Rebels, and there's a wicked episode where Ezra finds Obi-Wan and then Obi-Wan confronts Darth Maul, and it is absolutely perfect. Everybody's like, oh, I want to see them fight, I want to see them do this. And again, if you've watched the movies and then watched Clone Wars and then seen this, it is perfect how it happens. And we know the outcome, or you should know the outcome, but there's just a moment that is 100% Obi-Wan and it's 100% Jedi. And I don't want to spoil it because you have to watch it, but it's just perfect, you know. And that's what I'm saying. Like, the people, you know, there's so much stuff for Star Wars, and maybe unfortunately because I'm a Star Wars nut, like I know a lot of it, but I think that's what their writers room needs. They need to see what's come before.
To be fair, Andre, we're speculating on, we have no idea what the script is. Maybe they didn't do any of the books and then they're like, this is not good enough, go back to the source material.
Yeah.
So again, I find it difficult for us to say a script because no script exists that we've seen, and maybe there was a bad script and Filoni read it, it's like so we're starting again. COVID has helped, I guess, some points of production because maybe it gave more time to write. It's like, you know what, let's go back to the drawing board. I don't know who is involved in this process. We clearly know that Kathleen Kennedy is not doing it. She's by name alone, but not necessarily running things at what Star Wars is happening right now. So let's see what happens. I give them a little bit of credit in terms of The Mandalorian may not been your taste, but it did set up things in the universe. And now Filoni is really involved in bringing in a lot of his characters from aforementioned Rebels. So let's see what happens as we go across this. Is it more just maybe we just like many TV shows or an anime as well? You bring a character in, you establish them. The next season, you bring another character, you establish them, and there's less stories from the original character, and you keep on going. Because I think the more time you spend with a character, you can see their storyline develop and grow. The worst thing that can happen is somehow you make one movie and you shove 7 people together, and then you say, here we go. 2 hours later, they're a team. So, you know, that we've seen the worst case scenario of just shoving people together without any type of, you know, information. And now potentially there would be maybe some sort of long mini series that would address this, that would fix a lot of the problems of joining 7 people in such a short time period. But we'll see what happens. Right, Rob?
Yes.
Thank you. So I think that's the key in why we talk about Umbrella Academy, why it works so well, is that it's got that time to build up, and that's good or bad about the Avengers storyline or whatnot. They build people into it, so it does a really good job of slowly integrating people, and you may not like these characters, but on the plus side, if you don't like them, they're not going to be there very long because you got other people that hold the weight. So to Andre, like, you might not like Iron Man, but guess what? There's some Captain America, and who hates Chris Evans? So, you know, you don't like Thor, but, you know, there's Ant-Man. You don't like Ant-Man? There's T'Challa. So it does a good job of giving you the greatest hits of these characters, and I don't foresee that changing for the next couple Marvel movies. So, you know, it might be pain, Andre, but it's small pain. And same with this with Klaus. Like, you may not like Klaus, but my God, does everyone have their moment to shine in season 2 of Umbrella Academy. Is that a final thoughts? And I'll give everyone a final shout out or thoughts on if we haven't hit anything on Umbrella Academy season 2. Anyone else?
Army Hammer. Scott, that's for you.
There it is.
Delightful. Did you see that interview I sent you, Rob? Delightful with James Corden.
Of course I did.
He's a gift. He's a gift.
There you go. That was just for Scott.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
I'm converted to the Army Hammer fan club. What a delight. And I cannot wait to watch the 3rd incarnation of Rebecca. So here we go. So again with Rebecca, let's keep on jamming this out. This is where we're at right now. Just going. So we're coming to an end of this podcast. I'll give out one.
It's Thanksgiving in the U.S. It's been a very long.
Wow! Wow!
Oh boy! Oh wow! Okay. Before we jump quickly, I want to get people's thoughts, and this is a good group. Andre kind of hit it a little while ago in terms to multiple services available to you. And I just wanted to understand for Disney Plus and what the new Marvel shows coming. We know that the WandaVision is coming out. So just an impromptu poll at this time, and I'll start with Scott at the beginning. Do you own Disney Plus? Are you going to get Disney Plus? And are you going to watch this WandaVision show? Go for it. It's coming out December or November, I believe. So it's the newest thing that's coming out that will be a real thing.
Own Disney Plus. Probably wouldn't get it just for that, but since I already have it, I will be watching.
Fraser?
Have Disney Plus. Definitely looking forward to it. From what I've seen of trailers, it looks like it's going to be enjoyable.
Lewis?
I own Disney Plus, and I'll probably watch it after Mandalorian too. So.
Tim?
Day 1 subscriber. I'm all in. Binge it, baby.
John?
I have the Plus, but this show is not grabbing me. So
all right. Let's why.
I'm not. I don't know. It's too out there for me.
Too out there.
Yeah, I don't
Doesn't this follow the storyline of the comics where they have a whole family that she kind of makes them.
But where's it gonna be set? You know what I mean? Is it gonna be set like a 60s, 70s ish type
Every
show?
episode seems to be a different timeline.
Yeah, so that's why, right? So what they showed me, I don't have. If you said it was modern, but I think Winter Soldier Falcon is going to be the modern show, right? So Scarlet Witch is going to be this kind of time traveling 50s, 60s Mad Men-ish maybe type show.
I think to be fair, Loki is the time traveling TV show of different points. This is kind of an altered reality, like figment of her imagination. Yes. Each episode will probably have like 25 minutes in that weird zone, and then 10 minutes of like shield agents running around doing random stuff in the background.
So right now it's not grabbing me. You know, different story when maybe they reveal a little more. I'll definitely try the first episode, but right now it's not catching me in the genre of shows that I like to watch.
I'm surprised because maybe they need to show more clips from the 90s, John, like a 90s comedy, like you'd be in maybe
rom-com.
Yeah, exactly.
Golden words to John. A Wolverine rom-com trilogy is coming his way. So this is
80s. They could hit the 80s. They can hit the 80s.
The 80s seems like a thing too. Rob?
Yeah, just like Tim, day one subscriber, it hasn't been worth it for me. If it wasn't, because I've only watched The Mandalorian and a couple of things.
You could have paused your subscription after Mandalorian wrapped.
No,
and you wouldn't have seen Noel.
Do your kids watch it? Like, are they?
No, wow. No. We own all of those movies, anyways, right? Like all the Marvel stuff. So, but it ain't
stuff in the vault.
Ant-Man?
No, but listen, here's the reality, and I don't know what Scott's kids are like, but my kids don't watch traditional cartoons the way we used to. So you can throw on The Little Mermaid or whatever. My daughter might watch it, but it doesn't really grasp her attention as modern cartoons do now. And even then, they're like, I'm just going to watch YouTube. So it's just it's just different. So it hasn't been worth it for me. I will renew because I'll watch it. I'll watch anything. So I'll watch it.
I'm going to add it to the list. It's going on the list.
Of course, I'm going to watch it, obviously. So I'll pay the $90 for the yearly subscription. Sure.
Andre?
Yeah, I have Disney Plus. I think I got it when Clone Wars came out, so I think I've got a couple months on it. So as long as it's on before my subscription ends, because unfortunately, Mandalorian didn't do it for me. I will watch the second season. I really looking forward to Winter Soldier, but if it's not coming in a space of time, I don't know if I would renew. But because I own, like I said, I own the movies I want to rewatch. I own all of Rebels and stuff. And while I don't think the service is bad, I think if, like Rob said, if you don't own all that stuff and you don't have access to all those cartoons, like my DVD and Blu-ray collection is massive for all these cartoons and box sets and stuff like that. So I don't necessarily, need it. But on the WandaVision thing, I think it does look interesting. I think those two actors are fantastic together. I think they had the best scenes in Endgame for me. I would have definitely cut the movie different to focus on them instead of Stark and Rogers. Because I think that, like, again, well, anyways, we're talking about like heart and stuff like that and character. But yeah,
well,
so I am gonna tune into the TV show for sure.
Vision wasn't in Endgame. Sorry, Andre, you're wrong.
Yeah.
You mean Infinity War? Come on, buddy.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Infinity War. That one scene where, yeah.
Like,
come on, Andre.
They had 2 scenes.
Endgame was garbage anyway.
They had 2 scenes. Andre. They had 2 scenes.
Oh, that's mean. Endgame was great.
All right, don't get him started, Fraser. We don't have time.
Let's start a new topic.
We're going to be celebrating flipping New Year's in a second here. That's
and here's the thing about what
happened.
And we talked about this a little bit before about how COVID has changed the way that production has happened. In one of our private chats, and I'll share with you guys, Rob was mentioning how that Mike Millar television show, The Magic Order, or is that?
Yeah.
Just got canceled. And it's really based on the fact that show is going to be expensive, location-wise, VFX style, actors. Like, the comic, by the way, is an amazing comic. So those who haven't read it, it's worth your time. In terms of like what they have to do to actually implement it, dear God, it's too expensive. No way they can do it. Which is why I think The Mandalorian is kind of in that sweet spot, although Andre hates it, because they're in this weird giant LCD soundstage, and there's only typically 4 actors ever on stage, and half the time they're wearing helmets. They're already quarantining all the time. Like, all those stormtroopers don't need to wear a helmet, a mask. They're wearing a helmet. So like Star Wars kind of fits in this weird zone of like, oh, they can continue filming this because they're already social distancing a lot, based on the fact that what the characters are wearing, but also in terms of like the cost. A soundstage in Australia or in Atlanta, housed in this bubble, they can get away with doing these TV shows quickly, and Disney kind of owns the monopoly of these kind of the LCD screens. And everywhere else, you have to, like Game of Thrones. Could you imagine trying to finish that last season now, like flying over to Europe and like The Witcher can happen because, they're lucky that they're in the Czech Republic, and the Czech Republic's like, we don't care. Let's just get this things done. But not every country is, the same level. So this is going to change the way, like Winter Soldier, they're back in Prague again, like they're filming right now, and all these shows. I don't know what's going to happen because there are going to be more cancellations than not, because the way we see TV, even if you watch like an episode of Grey's Anatomy, they usually have like 40 people in a scene, like people lying on gurneys and people walking back and forth. And how do you do that with social distancing and masks and all the other things? So I would be interested to see what's going to happen, because these Marvel shows are probably going to be the only thing that's going to churn out for a while, just because Disney's got money, and just the lower cost of filming on a soundstage compared to moving from location to location and cleaning up every location and sterilizing, just a pain in the butt. Like even like a procedural Law and Order show. Think about a Law and Order show. How many random people and where they're at? You can't do that right now. How do you do that film in New York? We're switching from a bodega to like a street corner, like the classic like cuts where they're like, me and Scott are cops and we run into John in the first act and it's over. And then, no, it's Fraser. We run into Fraser. No. Then we go into Lewis. Nope. Then we go back.
We
to
can
Scott,
film this right now.
And then we go back to John. And then we're like, no. Oh, no, it was John all along. And then now me and Scott are in sitting with our boss Andre at the police department. Like, what do you think? And then the lawyers Tim and Rob come in and we chat with them. Like, think about how much interaction that is just for like one bad guy.
This is a great show. They're writing it down, right?
So like, this is a thing. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what you guys think. What do you guys think of these TV shows? Like, not that one particular, although it's a great police.
That sounds fire.
It seems like a CBC show, 100%. I'm not gonna lie. We could probably film in all the Republic of Doyle sets in Newfoundland, so it's easy. In Nova Scotia, easy to do it.
Speaking of lawyer shows, CBC, Burden of Truth is filmed in was it Manitoba? Yeah, so they got their quarantine thing down pat, but that's a location where there's not that many people anyway, so they get it off. Yeah.
But New York, you can't fake New York.
They're filming Spider-Man 3 there. I would do that.
Yeah, New York is a weird place. Like, you can like Suits tried to fake it, but all of us in Toronto knew it's like, oh, that's not New York at all. Like,
as soon as you see a TTC bus, you're like, busted.
Even in Shazam,
come on, Fraser, do better. Come on.
Even in Shazam, when they're on the TTC car, I'm like, what city are you guys in again? That's yeah, Shazam.
City, it doesn't really count. That's fine.
Oh yeah.
Well, when they were at that weird mall and on the path, I'm like, I can't watch this movie anymore. They're on the path underground.
Hey, listen, I think the only person who can comment on this is Scott. When they film in Toronto, that's supposed to substitute for Chicago, right? That happens all the time, right? So, hey, we're in Chicago. Where's the bean? We'll digitize.
Toronto's the great masquerader, though. It kind of looks a little bit like everywhere, and it pulls it off reasonably well. But I think if you're in the know, I mean, you guys obviously, and I've spent 3+ years there. You can pick out. Wait, what's that? Like, yeah.
So so here's the question to you then. In the second season of Umbrella Academy, when they're fighting in Dallas, that street, is that Hamilton or is that Toronto? Do you know the difference, Scott?
On that one, I don't know that there would have been anything that would have picked me up. No.
Lewis, do you know whether was that Hamilton or Toronto? No. Fraser?
No.
Tim?
Hamilton.
Rob?
Yeah, it was Hamilton.
Yeah, it's Hamilton. But you never would have known because of CGI and all the others. It's a very unique thing. Except for Resident Evil, which they didn't even bother to like change anything. It's a CN Tower in the background too, and watching Resident Evil with Mila Jovovich and running.
Shout out to
apparently
Resident
Zanzibar
Evil
is in Harlem.
remakes.
All right. Andre, do you want to talk about that quickly?
Let's start that topic now.
Yeah.
Just a shout out. We'll cover it again, but I'm excited.
Is anyone excited outside of that? Scott, do you care about Resident Evil, a remake?
just Andre.
I the scary stuff always, it bothers me. Like, so, but I will say this: I've watched the Resident Evil movies and I do enjoy them. Maybe I enjoy Mila Jovovich. I don't know.
Yeah.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go for it.
On the remake thing, it's like I'm getting a little tired of it, especially when it's remaking stuff that, let's be frank, is not that old. Like, why are we doing this? Like, seriously.
Batman.
Whoa.
Shut your mouth.
I thought it was on mute.
Like the Resident Evils, like I really don't think they're that bad of a movie. Like I don't see where the justification of redoing it is. Like,
because they never did it right in the first place.
That's true. That movie in the beginning was rough, and Michelle Rodriguez showing back up again. How?
We're not talking like a huge novel here that has like a ton of backstory. We're talking about a video game. Like, we're trying to make a movie franchise out of a video game that had a very limited story to begin with. Like the first Resident Evil movie, you're literally walking through the house, and then that's it. Like, there's your storyline. Don't die. And they had to make a movie out of that.
You gotta find the clips for writing to save your game. That was the most ridiculous part of that game. Without a cartridge, forget about it. You gotta keep on playing this game. Yeah. You can't save your game in your progress. You gotta keep on finding it.
No, you had to ration them. You couldn't just be saving every time you found a new weapon. You'd be like, I only got one tape ribbon, one ink ribbon. I gotta go. Oh crap, a liquor. Let me run back and save.
all the young people are like, what are you guys talking about? I don't think the remake you had to do it. I did enjoy the remake of the game. It actually was something I really enjoyed, the Resident Evil game. But to your point, I don't mind them remaking it if it's better. Like the Spider-Man stuff, like I wasn't ready for a new Spider-Man, but
no guarantee.
Blessed Tom Holland. Like Tom Holland came into my life, and I thought Andrew Garfield was great, but then Tom Holland came in. I'm like, you know what? This is even better. So
supposedly you're gonna get all three now. So
yeah,
it's a dream come true if that's the case. Like I don't know how they're jamming everyone in this movie, including Doctor Strange and Electro.
They're just doing live action Into the Spider.
Guys, just tune into the Sidekick show. We've already covered this. Don't worry.
Well,
my phone is dying.
We at this point we don't know if you're serious or not, so we'll take it as is. But you know, like reboots are a property that we know of, so it makes sense. Like I'm not gonna lie, I would have watched
new content.
Here's the thing:
what I want, new content.
I would have watched the crap out of the last Starfighter TV show. If they were like, we're just going to do a TV show, I would watch the crap out of that. I think that story is awesome.
Oh.
And I would watch more of this story of the last Starfighter.
Stop ruining my childhood.
I rewatched it. It's not amazing. It's not bad. It's fine. But I would love more of the last Starfighter. Like it's a cool concept.
Nope.
And yes, you can do a bad job like Reboot, the reboot of Reboot, which was
that wasn't
not
Reboot.
awful.
That was Power Rangers or VR Troopers.
Yes.
That was a Reboot.
Yes, but Dot was there, and Enzo was there, and you know the characters from Reboot, including Hexadecimal and Megabyte. So these were things.
Which again, how do you have? Because if you actually watch Reboot, they're all gone by the end of the show. So
maybe a new system. Again, these are computer programs.
Control Alt Delete.
Control C. Is it just copy, Fraser? You can just copy. I don't know if you know the function. Control C, copy, and P. C and P. Just copy and paste programs. So maybe that's all it needs. All right. Well, I would love to continue to chat with you guys. Clearly, people are antsy like Rob and Tim that need to bounce. So here we go.
And Scott, it's his anniversary. He's now celebrating.
It's not his anniversary anymore.
It's his 23rd anniversary.
We'll see how that goes when I get home.
Yeah, it won't.
It's fine. It's fine. It's she'll watch it and she'll see the part where we celebrate your anniversary. We say
shout out and the Bachelor.
Shout out.
Right? That's all she needs.
And the Bachelor. We'll even invite her on when we do the Bachelor talk. This will be great.
She would love that.
She'll love it.
Would love that.
We'll get her takes on the Bachelor and the Bachelor. So this is another facet of the podcast empire for Andre. So we'll get into that. So I'll start off as always with Jon and Andre. Where can we find you guys more on the internets and in the real world?
Yeah, so the Instagram, website, YouTube, everything is Heroes World Online. If you're looking for the podcast, any of your podcast services, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, just look up Heroes World Podcast.
And in the desert of the real, we are in Markham, Ontario. That is just outside of the GTA, conveniently located at 8601 Warden Avenue. So it's Warden Highway 7. Lots of parking. It's free. Lots of other things to do in the plaza. So you could just tell your significant other that you're going to No Frills to get some groceries and then stop in and get your comics and your games,
toilet paper,
and your, or if you're looking for a paper towel.
It's only like an 11-hour drive.
Yeah,
I'll be right there.
Yeah, exactly. So you can come and check me out. That's where I'm hanging out most of the time, and then Jon is there, and you get to see some of our other like helpers, like Pat and Mark and stuff that are around on Fridays. So all your goods that you need, from comics to cards to action figures to trade paperbacks to board games, card games. We have a little bit of everything. Come and see us.
Where can they buy stuff from you online, Jon?
Yeah, so you can't just message us right now. The website's not quite ready, so you can message us. You can just email us at sales.heroesworld, HEROES world @gmail.com, or just message through Google, Facebook, whatever.
And if you follow them on social, you'll see constantly they're posting in their new inventory and new stuff in the store. So you see that it's live and in person. So whether it's games or comics or action figures, Jon is posting stuff on the reg. So search Connect, and then you'll see that the inventory and stuff they have until they get the website up and running. So let's go to Lewis. Where can they find you on the internet, or do you want to be found?
That's fine. I'm on Instagram as Lou DZN or Loud Asian, however you want to read it. Twitter.
On brand. Can carry on. Yep.
Yeah. On Twitter, I'm at Lewis Law, LOUISLAW. So you can follow me on either. Facebook, I'm usually on the Heroes World channel, so you guys can see me there commenting.
Yeah, everyone send their stuff to John, and John will post it in the links. So we'll get that done too. But Fraser, where can people find you, or do you want to be found?
You can find me on Instagram. I don't know if you use the @ thing for that, but I just @ Fraser Lenny, and I'm on Facebook as well and stuff. I'd just like to thank you guys for having me. This has been great. I've always wanted to be on the podcast since you guys started this doing on the regular, because it's one of the things I miss is talking to you guys at the store, and this has been a great thing to do. So I'd like to be back again.
Sure, man.
Yeah, we'll sort it out. Don't worry, we have lots of time.
Shameless plug.
That's the issue. Is do you want to wake up early in the morning on a Sunday? That's the only thing. The deterring factor is what time on Sunday. That's what people say. So
I have a 3-year-old. Not a problem.
Scott's like, been there, done that. Scott, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Absolute pleasure. Where can we find? Bear in mind that you're living in a country that's literally on fire. So I have to thank you for coming in as you're dodging stuff on the streets.
Yeah, it's crazy. But we won't add politics to this. I'm kind of everywhere. I think at sgraziano11 for like Instagram and Twitter, and most of my stuff tends to be medical education, so it's probably pretty boring. Every once in a while it'll be lost, so
I'm down. Medical education. I'm interested. You had me at education. So
and on Facebook too. So but yeah, thanks. This has been fun. I really enjoy it. I love listening to you guys. I actually like talking to you more. So this is cool.
Tim, let you where we find you?
Instagram _Timbo_Slice_XX, and in 2 days you'll find me on Power Rangers Battle for the Grid on Switch. Come get a beating. Bring it on.
Well, I don't know if you want to put your Nintendo Switch name out there, so maybe we'll.
I gave my number the other one. I'm ready.
DM him for those details. DM Timbo Slice for contact.
Triple Tommy team.
He's gonna end up with a lot of little kids adding them.
Some Green Ranger.
Never mind. I take that back. These guys' full-time jobs are playing Power Rangers. This one with all Korean names in it. Forget it. Never mind. I take back that comment.
Take him out.
That or Japanese lettering. It's like same thing when it happens in Mario Kart. You're like, I'm done. Never mind. I'm gonna lose this race. The drifting is too much. Rob. Besides you dominating the world of Fortnite, where can we find you on the?
On Twitter and Instagram, it's at Rob Gadet, and then on Tuesdays, John and Joey and I do the Sidekick podcast. It's about a 16th of the time of this one, and it's
wow.
No, it's about a half hour. We tee up the podcast. We talk about all the news of the week. And all this new, the new swag hitting the store between.
And also what you don't notice is that's Rob's way of saying he's leaving the podcast and he doesn't want to do it anymore with us because it's too damn long. So
no.
If we cut Rob out, we're back to normal. So thank you, Rob.
I got lots of water. I've had lots of coffee, and I'm about to piss my pants. So
this is Rob's very eloquent way of saying you guys suck. I'm leaving you guys.
No, of course not. No. But that's where you can find us every Tuesday. So whether it's on the YouTube or the Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Play. So between this show and the Sidekicks, we got you covered.
John?
Oh yeah. You already know where to find me.
Yeah, find you.
But I'll plug Joey. Joey's on a show called Heroes Manufactured. I'll drop the link in the description. She has the Comics Vault show, like she mentioned, and she is on the Sidekick show with us as well.
Perfect. So shout out to that. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. Happy anniversary, Scott, to you and your family. Congratulations, Timbo, again on your marriage and the fact that your wife, a saint. So Lewis, Fraser, good to see you again. It's been a while since you've in the store. Pleasure as always. Again, happy to have you guys in the pod again. Happy to have everyone. thanks everyone. We really appreciate you guys.
Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
Yes. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy
Thank you for
Thanksgiving.
joining us today. Thank you for taking time. And again, please subscribe, like, bells, yada, 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 as always. It helps us out. And share this with everyone. So it's been fun as always. My pleasure to be here with you guys. Thank you for letting me do this and help you guys out.
Yes, thank you, Stu.
And
Thanks, Stu.
enjoy. Hopefully everyone has already had a good Thanksgiving. This is going to come out on Wednesday, so not necessarily happening in the real, as Andre says, but enjoy. And thanks everyone. See you later.
Bye.
All right. Bye.